Me, how are you doing?
Good, good. Just got back from where was that? Tualatin?
I
Not
can't tell you
Tualatin.
where you've been.
You know where I was. You were there.
No,
Yeah,
in fact, I was not.
no, yeah. I just got back. I was gonna drive the car to Albany, and then they were gonna drive me back, but they decided that they wanted to wait till later. They're just gonna come pick it up. So the car is at my house now.
Well, nice. Hopefully, it all gets figured out.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Did
it's
you
all.
watch the State of the Union address that Trump did?
Oh God, bits and pieces of it. Uh, you know what's crazy is you can see things happening like when we cut what's that department I was telling you about before that actually manages the money for the CHIPS Act.
Oh yeah.
Um, when he started firing them, and then in his State of the Union, he talked about rolling or cutting back the CHIPS Act, which I don't know how you can.
The cutting back the chip act at the exact same time as we're building a new chip manufacturing plant seems to be counterintuitive.
It will set us back like at least a half a decade, technologically wise, and it's absolutely necessary. That's what's crazy too is all these Republicans were cheering for him and stuff. They all voted for it. That was
Mm-hmm.
very popular amongst everyone. It creates more jobs. It lets us be more stable here in America. It makes us safer because we have our own.
And not just any jobs; they're like high tech jobs. They're
I think jobs.
intelligent jobs. They're what we're
Yeah,
looking for.
100%. It makes absolutely no sense. Like that's what's bothering me now is it's like this trade war with Canada and peeling back the Chips Act. There's no there's no reasoning for it at all. There's no, people like, even if you're the staunchest of staunch Trump reporters or Trump supporter, tell me like what is the reasoning for either one of these things? He states bringing over fentanyl over the Canadian border. That's not true.
No, that
And
happens. The fentanyl does come through Canada and
it
Mexico.
is point zero like 3%. Like so you're there is no you're not going to
Now,
get
to be
much
fair,
better.
I don't think it's enough to constitute the amount of response that we've had
That
for it.
this the stupidity. Okay, so all right, and those kind of statements though, it's like when they say there's misused funds in the government. Like, yeah,
It's
we
the
got to fix
government,
that.
yeah.
Like, yeah, we like you. It doesn't matter. It's like having food loss at a restaurant. You're like, yeah, obviously I don't want that, but it's part of it. Some cooks are gonna eat a fry. Some cooks are gonna drop a fry. A server's maybe gonna mess up a plate. It's gonna happen. You can't get rid of all of it, and you can still be a super, super successful restaurant while
Hmm.
knowing that's gonna happen. And same thing in government. Same thing in our border. I think it's 0.3 or 0.5. It's very low in Canada. They don't really bring that much drugs over the Canadian border. It's like it's nothing. It's nothing. Canada
Well,
is.
especially in comparison to like Mexico. That's where the vast majority of the drugs are coming
But
from,
even
is
that, I
through
mean,
Mexico or through trailer parks where people are just making it in their own
exactly.
house.
The vast majority of our drugs are homegrown, baby. We
Okay.
we bring it here.
USA, USA.
We're blaming Mexico, and yeah, Mexico obviously has a problem with the cartels. But wouldn't it be better to sit down with the Mexican president and say, "Hey, look, we got to figure something out. Too many drugs are coming over. Too many drugs are killing us." And also, didn't our fucking own government work with them back in the day? Was the
Okay, well, our government works with everybody back in the day. Like I mean, we have a past history of propping up rebels, governments, anybody that's on our side for them to later be not on our side, and then we label them as terrorist or enemy governments. Like we have a very long history of doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It just this trade war makes no sense, especially with Canada, even with Mexico. People can say all this drugs. It's like, yeah, drugs are a problem. We know that. It doesn't matter though. Like, what are you gonna do? Close the border? You can close the border completely?
Well, I mean, he's done it before with his Muslim ban that he did. Like that
Yeah,
was a full border close. I mean,
but
I
this
wouldn't be surprised if he does it again.
that is not a country that literally physically sits on our border.
It's called
Like, and
isolation.
also,
Yeah.
it's not like Mexico is one of our Mexico is and will be in the future one of our biggest producing partners. Like they'll probably end up being just as big, if not bigger, than China as far as producing goods for us, especially in our auto manufacturing. Like we need them. They have a big population. They're very
going to be huge.
It's like, and we all have like Mexico, Canada, and America have a really, really good relationship. And so, like, especially the Canada one, if you want to say anything, like, that and the CHIPS Act repeal, they make no fucking sense whatsoever.
Well, it doesn't make sense on a geopolitical scale. It makes a ton of sense from a mob boss perspective. Like, what we're doing is we're trying to approach this through logic and our understanding of the American ideology. That is not the system that we're operating under anymore. We're definitely operating under more of a might makes right, peace through force type of situation, and that this is our territory. That's what Trump is really trying to showcase and trying to enforce, is that we have territorial borders now, not just national borders.
And that's the thing. Is like, you're right. Like, if a mob boss mentality, sure, it does make sense. But my hard part right now is he still has these rabid Trump supporters that are like, all right, how does this make sense? And it doesn't. They want new jobs. Hey, there's new jobs. Ohio's got them, baby. They're gonna be a big old plant out there that's gonna be doing to help national security, help our military, help our economy. All good things, right? What's the bad side? Nothing. It's that Biden made it and that Trump is, I don't know. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Either that or he literally is trying to tear down America.
Trump does have very much of a like third grader mentality of, if it's not, I don't want to share my toys and I don't want to give anybody else credit for anything. It all has to be focused on him, like a pyramid. And the repealing of all of our federal workers, a major point of our middle class, those are American jobs. Those are red, white, and blue Americans who have been working for our government, trying to improve the lives of the people. And he's like, you're all worthless. Get out of here. You're fired. Get back to your offices. And I'm like, most people are doing remote work because of their work is remote. Like,
well, we've seen the Veterans Affairs. They're talking about 80,000 people going to be fired.
Yep.
That's insanity. You don't give a fuck about our veterans? A lot of those workers are veterans.
They've said time and time and time again that they're not going to go after the benefits. I don't believe them.
No.
I don't believe that at all.
The thing is like, okay, they can technically keep their promises, but by not directly going after the benefit, right? But it's the same thing with going after NIST. They're the ones that control the that
NIST?
basically they're the ones giving out the money for the CHIPS Act.
Oh, okay.
I think that's their acronym. Sure, you don't have to repeal the CHIPS Act immediately. You don't have to say I'm going after the CHIPS Act, but you can say, hey, all of a sudden you had, maybe 100 workers to deal with this. I don't know if that's the correct number, but what you can do is cut them down to bare bones and say, yeah, now deal with it. And you know how hard it is to deal with that much money and make sure everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing and giving it out? Very difficult.
No, it's
the
hard,
job
yeah.
in Portland, the IBR job, which is a much smaller fund, it's a $300 million to get the bridge restoration. It's like a year and a half, 2 years just to get the team together, to get the money out, to meet with people, to sign contracts, to get the work started. It's the same thing with them. It's like if they cut their team down to 5 people, or just to cut, bare bones, they'd be like, well, I don't know what we're going to do now. I don't know how to get this money out to get the work done.
Well, and it's that exact process, the 2 years, the 3 years of coordination to be able to even start work, that so many people are mad about. That they don't understand that's the process. It's how it works. It's how you make sure everything is safe and in line, and so that when you do start, everything is effective and in the long run runs better. But it's that they see that as, oh, that's government red tape. That's regulation stopping industry. It's like, no. If you just go, oh, here's $300 billion, go make a bridge, get it done by the end of the year, that's gonna be a bad bridge. Yeah. It's not gonna be a good and safe construction project.
On top of that, who do you trust? If they just gave me $100 million, or whatever it is, $300 million, and said, "Hey, yeah, get it done by the end of the year," I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, I guess I would kind of have an idea. I know who I'd call, but I'd do the same thing they're doing. I try to build
between you and me. You have a way better idea than I do. That's for sure.
But that's what I have to go to subject matter experts and start building out a team and do essentially what they're doing. I'm like, if you give me a year, I don't know. I guess I could speed up the process and try to push these contracts through, because they're dealing with union contracts and and trying to get diverse hiring in there. It gets so many red tape things. But on top of that, like these guys, you're right. People don't understand what that is, but also like they don't understand like grant funding what it means, right? So like right now, I know there's an organization. Their grant is to teach people how to apply for grants, right? And it sounds kind of stupid, but they realized there was this big need for it because there's so many grants available for early childhood development, but no one is picking them up because there are people that are in that field, but no one's taking them. And so what they realize that it's very convoluted, but because it has to be, the language is really big because it has to be because there's a lot of rules and regulations. And so they had to make a grant specifically just to teach people how to apply and make sure they're getting this money so they can do better early childhood development type stuff. And people will see that and they're like, look how stupid that is. Well, it's like, oh, well, you don't understand. Like, it's not like there's still people moderating this and telling you don't overspend and don't do this. But there's a reason that money was put, aside for this.
And just because it's called a grant doesn't mean here's the money, do what you want with it. No, you need entire business plans, entire systems set up to be like, this is where the money's going. This is how it's going to be used. This is what the outcome is expected to be. That's how grants work.
Oh yeah, like people thinking of grants as like they kind of think it as like school money, you know what I mean, where you get college, and even that comes with rules. If you don't get the right GPA or you're not studying the right thing, you don't get it. But yeah, if you're not doing like when we like organization I work for, when we send out our agreement to the DoD, we send it back and forth, right? It's not a one-time thing. It's usually back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And they say, cut this, look at this. What does this mean? Why is this here? And we got to explain it and tell them that's why that's there. We need extra money for this. We have to, give them all of our travel for the year and all that kind of stuff. And it's not this, like, people are like, there's no oversight. There's a lot of oversight. Everybody has oversight. Everybody's doing audits. Everybody needs to know where all your money is going. It's like, you think people like Musk and these guys, they know better? They know better than people that have been doing this literally decades? That have been auditing and keeping track of this shit?
100%. The people who are like, oh, people are just living on welfare and SNAP, and people are just living on government money from when you get fired from a job, unemployment. Those people have never gone through those systems. They are so hard to, one, get into, and two, stay on. Like, there are so many systems in place to make sure that you are working and operating underneath the assumption that you're trying to improve your life and get off of those systems. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there are cases out there in between where you have a person who got more money than they absolutely deserved. But I'd rather have that happen rather than people who deserve money not getting any money, right?
Yeah, well, and that's a big part of the problem is most people, we in America, for whatever reason, think the worst of each other, right?
Because we're an individualistic culture.
Yeah, we think my successes are all because of me, and all my failures are because of other people.
Yep.
And we don't give the same fucking.
And their successes are unfair.
Yeah, we don't give the same respect to other people. Like other people, like most people. Do you think most people don't want to be on unemployment? Most people don't want, like, because a lot of our worth in America, unfortunately, is tied to what we do. People would love to say, I'm a doctor. Oh, I'm a lawyer. My job is important. You know what I mean? People want to be able to do that.
That's status.
Exactly. The person sitting on unemployment, they don't want to tell people that for the most part. Some people, sure, they want to take advantage of it and they don't care. But, most people want to be contributing. And most of us just want to live our lives. I want to go on a vacation. I want to, be with my loved ones. I want to do my basic life. And there's this talk about, and especially from two rich boys, from Musk and Trump, who've never worked a regular job in their lives, are telling people like me and you and other people struggling, oh, well, you have to figure it out. Yeah, you guys are taking advantage of the system. Like, you've never been in the system. How do you know?
Like, you guys have only been born outside of the system, and then you've made it harder to be in the system without any secondary, like, network for people to improve their lives or expand their own personal wealth.
Yeah, they've never even been poor adjacent. These guys, you know what I mean?
Less than 6 digits in their bank account, that's for sure.
And I think, well, the problem is a lot of these guys, though, right, is they forget, and it's not even just them. Like, there's the wealthy, and obviously these guys are the ultra wealthy, but they forget about the other part of the equation, right? Like, obviously a lot of these guys are like, oh yeah, well, even like some lesser poor people, like celebrities and stuff. Oh yeah, I slept in my car for a couple weeks at one point. It's like, okay, cool, but what would have happened if that failed? And a lot of them are like, oh well, I could have gone to my parents' farm, I could have went here, they don't realize the level of poverty some people are dealing with. Like me, there was a long period of time where, like, if I had failed, I'd probably be homeless. Maybe I'll have some friends, maybe some family that can keep me for a while, but it's like there's no, I'm jumping. These guys are
couch
jumping out of the
surfing,
plane.
and then if the couch surfing doesn't work out for long enough, all of a sudden you're on the streets and you're kind of looking around like, what do I do? Yeah,
Exactly. These guys, they're jumping out of the airplane with a parachute and a backup chute, and then my chute too. And me and you, we
and
gotta.
they took your shit. They're like, we won't use it, but it's nice to have.
Yeah, me and you, we better hit that fucking water. There's no other options.
Aim
and
for
so
the
they're
bushes
like,
on the way down. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, what stakes? Why don't you guys just do these things? Like, because our risk is so much greater. Life is a lot harder down here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so.
And then people are like, oh, they're not cutting Medicaid. And in the exact same spending bill, they're talking about cutting Medicaid by $880 million. And that's pretty much all of Medicaid's budget. And people are like, well, they're not attacking the beneficiaries. No, they're not attacking the beneficiaries. They're attacking being a beneficiary. Like,
No, Jonah, they're not attacking Medicaid. They're attacking the department that oversees Medicaid.
Yeah.
Which Medicaid is the biggest part of their budget. But it's not a direct attack on Medicaid.
And then if those people decide to cut spending on Medicaid, well, what are we going to do? That was their choice.
That's their fault. And I mean, it's little things too. Like, I can't remember what the department's called off the top of my head right now, but they basically do a lot of oversight on contracting type stuff. There used to be, I think, 50 or so offices around the country. I think they're cutting down to 6.
That's a huge cut.
Huge numbers.
That's a huge cut.
So now for a lot of things like, say, Tesla, there won't be a lot of auditing. There's no auditing firepower for them anymore on these big contracts and grants. There just isn't. And so they're like, well, we want more oversight. It's like, you're cutting the oversight. Like
I've never heard Musk or Trump talk about wanting more oversight.
Well, he does. They want to cut the fluff, right? They want to cut the, they said, well, I guess in a sense, because they're saying more of like, well, there's all this extenuous spending and there's all these, no one's doing what they said they're going to do, and they act like they lie constantly. But it's like, these guys are literally watching so people don't overspend. You're talking about money, like, it costs money to keep track of money. That's just a fact.
Yeah, that is true.
What do you want to do? And honestly, we're the best at it. America is one of the best countries at doing this. For how large our economy is, we do a really good job. There's a lot of places, there's a lot of things in place.
As much as I yell about corruption in the government, and as much as I kind of complain about insider trading and all that stuff, our U.S. American system is very anti-corruption so far. We did just pass bills that made it legal to bribe people. So in the next 10 years, that's probably going to drastically change, and we're going to see a lot more corruption coming up. But for the last 10 years, we've been very good with corruption. Don't get me wrong, we have people like Nancy Pelosi who do a lot of insider trading, and it's well known and documented, and everyone says, don't do that. And she says, whatever, we're doing it anyways. But I would rather have a system like that rather than having a system where we're taking away benefits for the hungry and the poor, and then we're giving all those tax cut to the top 5% of our wealth. It just doesn't, it never makes sense to me to give the tax cuts to the people who already pay the least taxes.
Well, it's insanity. I mean, we control, like, your bottom percentage now controls a lesser share of the pie, but we also have a bigger percentage now, from the pre-Reagan economics. It's insanity. There's 60 million more of us since before Reaganomics started, and we control an even lesser portion of the pie. Yep. There's more of us with less. That's crazy, because they keep saying these things, like, oh, well, now it would be like $100,000 back then. It'd be $100,000 if we didn't add 60 million people. Now you're looking more probably $150,000, whatever, whatever it may be, to be comfortable-ish. And the part is, the stupid part is people, like, it's literally, it comes down to billionaires pay your taxes. If you just pay your taxes, if you just put a cap on it, force billionaires, because like we're not innovating in America anymore either, which is a huge deal. We're getting beat by everybody, by the Germans, by the Chinese, not necessarily by the Russians, but we're starting to get beat because companies are so much more interested in doing their stock buybacks, into making their investors rich, They're so much more interested in that than reinvesting in their businesses, and they're doing that because of tax options like this. Like super, like not having these high taxes on a lot of money. What's their incentive to reinvest into their people? Why not hire more scientists and get more projects? Like, hey, it's either that or give it to the government, and they're like, I'd rather spend it on our company. Maybe buy all of our employees new coats. Maybe give out bonuses. No, instead of doing those things, they're like, we can just take this money and give it to a bunch of already really rich people. And so it's not only killing us like financially, but also it's making us worse, at creating things here.
I don't remember what law it was, but the law that made it so that any publicly traded company's primary goal has to be to enrich its shareholders. I think if we repeal that and make it so that any company's primary goal is to enrich, what would be the best wording for that? I don't know what the wording would be, but having the primary goal of a company being to just enrich a select few amount of people versus being a prosperous company, that is actively bad. That's an actively non-American system, at least the way I see America.
Absolutely. If you have a system that's more like, because like if you go to like a lot of the DoD contracts, a lot of them will end with for the war effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. Part of the defense. And so they got the big budget, whether we're getting more contracting for, manufacturing or health services, whatever it may be. Those are all things that make us ready for war. And, America's, we're real good at war,
We're the best at it, baby.
But if we had something like that, you're right. If other things with companies and things like that, especially if they want to do contracting with, the Department of the Interior, it's like, if this is for the, ending with it in the contract, if this is the Department of the Interior, this is for the, not economics, environmental, effort. Things like that is like, if you're going to do business with the government, it's for this effort. This has to be the end process. The end goal has to be this. Not about you becoming richer. Not about this. This is for this effort.
Not everything in our world needs to be for profit. That's what's confusing me, is that so many people look at our government and say, why isn't it making money? The government shouldn't make money. The government takes our money, we give it to them, and then they use it for services. Services shouldn't generate income.
I think people really don't understand how things work, including that. You're right. People think about it as a business. They call Trump this good businessman. It's like, I don't want a businessman running this, because you're right.
He bankrupted 4 casinos.
Yeah, and probably a terrible businessman. Yeah, but if someone is shooting or breaking into my home, I would like the fact that I can just call the cops and 911, someone answers and they come. That's socialism. That's the government running our state programs. That's a service. It doesn't make money.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably very expensive to hire these people and have them come over, but it does protect me because I'm a taxpayer. That's what healthcare should be. That's what food service should be. That's what education should be. Sure, are there things where you can add on to it and make it capitalistic? Sure, but having it completely capitalistic, our healthcare, that's ridiculous. Like they're combined, like what top 5 healthcare companies are worth like $1 trillion.
Yeah,
I mean it's insanity. Like that means all of that money is going into those companies' hands, not ours, not our government's. Why would it not be better, even if our government was 50% corrupt? Wouldn't it be better to have the other 50% in our tax money and coming back out some way to provide us services? Like, people talk about Canada, how slow their services are. It's like, yeah, they're still ranked well ahead of us.
Yeah.
In terms of healthcare providing.
And outcome.
Yeah.
And outcome. That's the craziest part. We spend the most on healthcare, and we have the worst healthcare outcome prospects in developed nations. Yeah. Which goes to show you that the power of our dollar is not being utilized for our people. It's just not.
It's not. It hasn't been for a long time. They don't care. I mean, whether it's like, it's like with Portland's, they have the $100 million shortfall, right? And they're like, oh well, we'll increase parking fees. Downtown, it's like, so you're taxing us. You're like, oh no, just parking fee increases.
No, not a tax.
Yeah, we'll increase because there's less construction being done. There's kind of a freeze on Portland downtown because there's so many empty buildings. They're like, all right, well now our what is that called? When you need a how am I drawing a blank? When you need paperwork to do work.
Oh, permits.
Permits. The permits department, Portland permits and parks department is also down a lot of money because there's no new buildings, and so they're like, well, let's just increase the price of the permits. Problem solved. Like, so you're going to increase the tax on people that are trying to do the work, to incentivize somebody to not want to do more work.
It's so many unforced failures, like right after another. Like that's not how that works. If you make permits more expensive, less people will want to buy permits to do stuff.
100%. And then the other part with
those are the common sense laws we're talking about.
Yeah, like the people parking, I think these politicians are getting more and more out of touch, which is obvious, because they're not looking at who the generation is right now, right? It's us, the millennials.
Mm-hmm.
We should have all the money. We don't, but we're still the biggest purchasing block. We'll go into debt to purchase because we have to. And so all of your things in cities, in your economics, should be focused around your millennials right now. What do they want? And the millennials are screaming, hey, I would love to go to downtown Portland, but there's nothing to do down there, and it's very, very expensive, and there's no low-income housing, and I can't afford to live there, and I don't want to travel there, so I'm going to stay home and not spend money. And they're like, increase the parking. And you're like, all right, man, glad you heard me. And that's what they're doing in a lot of cities. It's stupid. Like, dude, we need better housing. We need lower-income housing and higher-paying jobs. That's what we need.
And we need to focus not only on just vehicle infrastructure when we're building stuff, but actual walkable cities, places where you can have a stroll and hang out with your friends and walk from shop to shop and not worry about a semi going through or large trucks or all that type of stuff. You need areas where people can build community, not this isolation mechanic that you need every building you have to pay to get into, and then there's nothing to do in there other than like eat, drink, maybe watch a movie, like some type of paid for activity. If you have parks and areas where people are able to be vendors, if you have large open areas where people can create their own small businesses, sure, permitting processes and all that stuff, whatever. But that creates more of an integrated community, which then draws more people from farther out to come enjoy whatever this creation is.
Yeah, and it's like, it's on top of that too. It's just there. Even with that though, there is no money, right? Like Vegas right now. I was watching these videos on what's happening in Vegas right now, and Vegas is losing money. Like a lot of their big properties are starting to lose a lot of money, but it's because they no longer serve. Like it used to be, old Vegas. Apparently, I just learned about this. It used to be, we don't give a fuck what we have to give you. We'll give you free food. We'll give you free hotel rooms. We'll give you free drinks. As long as you're coming to spend a bunch of money on gambling and we win a little bit, we'll take it.
Sure.
And then they were like, how about we take all their money gambling, but also we charge them really high prices for drinks, charge them really high prices for hotel rooms, high prices for all the fun. People go there and they can no longer stomach losing. They're like, I can gamble at home. I can gamble online. I'm not going to come to your city. It felt like a deal before. Yeah, I'll go gamble and I'll lose, $500, but
I'm getting drinks and I'm getting food and there's the sites. Yeah. You're
Exactly.
Still paying for the experience of Vegas.
Yeah, and now they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna gouge you on that too. So now drinks are $15 a piece, and you're like, well, I don't like that. I don't. Why? I don't want to come here anymore. Like, you know what I mean? You can go to other places that are a little more friendly, and it just comes down to economics on these things. Like, we need people. Like, if I was making $200,000 a year, these things would be fine. I'd spend $8 on a beer, $10 on a beer, $15. That's fine. Okay, I can do that. I can afford that.
Because it's the percent of your income that you're willing to spend. But when you're making $60,000 a year, all of a sudden a $60 drink looks like a lot more, or a $60 meal looks like a lot more.
Exactly, and you can't afford to do things, and then you have to start doing that math. It's like, all right, I need funds in case something happens to my car. I need funds in case there's an emergency. I got to pay my rent. Where do I want to live? Like, I would love to live in downtown Portland. Not for like $2,300 a fucking month in rent. When that takes up 50% of my income, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's crazy. I guess I won't live in downtown Portland. It's like, well, hey, why don't you come on down? Well, because you raise parking fees. Well, how about public transportation? It's not that great. How about I'll just stay home? You know what I mean? How about I'll just live in Portland?
How about I hang out, watch Netflix, and maybe eat my cup of noodle? How about that?
Yeah, I could. Beans and rice, baby. I've been poor before. Speaking of which, with all the trade war stuff, I'm gonna be okay.
You're like, I've done the poor before. It sucks, but I've done it. I'll do it again.
Yeah, it was like a fun 6 months of not being poor. I'm fine. I went to college.
Oh, man, I was able to see. The experience. Shit.
Oh yeah, for a second there, I was like, no way, I can go on a vacation. Okay, this is middle class, and then immediately right back then, I was like, you know what? This is good. I learned.
It's wild that we've been fighting for $15 minimum wage so long that you now need a $20 minimum wage just to be anywhere close to sustainable. Absolutely. I do not know how people are living on $7.25 an hour.
It's not possible.
It can't be. Like,
they're saving nothing. They have no health care. It's really bad. You know, and you're right. Like, I feel like I struggle at what I make, and I feel like I'm very blessed with what I make. You know, but I know friends that are making a lot more than me. Some making like double more than me, and they're still like, "This is hard." This is,
one thing that does happen is as your economic status goes up, you start spending at that economic status. So you're always kind of re-zeroing yourself out.
But
at some point though,
that is semi-true, but I hate that. And I'm not saying like not the shit on you, but that's been such a trope on people. It's the same thing as the avocado toast thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, you got here. It's like, yeah, man, I made more money so I could live in a nicer neighborhood, right? Why would I want to live where I want to live? Like, well, that's the economic creep. And you're like, so what do? Do I just still live in the bad neighborhood that I don't want to live in, where there's nothing to do? I worked hard to get myself out of that. And they're like, no. Okay. Well, then it's economic creep. It's like, well, it's not. How about you just pay more and fucking decrease the rent?
Well, you want me to make more money but still live poor so that when I'm 80 years old, I'll have an extra $10? This doesn't make sense.
And they treat economic creep like it's something to be
like a personal sin.
Yeah, they're like, why? Well, you shouldn't have bought your friend that gift. You shouldn't have went out for dinner that night. You should cut your Netflix. Like, well, should I just sleep and work? Is that what you want?
Yes, that is what they want.
Exactly.
That's 100% what they want. They don't want you sleep, work, and spend money somehow. And they don't care how you spend money, but they want your money to be leaving your pocket so that they can then complain about you not having money later.
Oh, and dude, and that is another note. Americans, like, dude,
we're consumers.
I am worried that we've been the consumers since like the 1940s, right after World War II, when all of our production was still running and everyone else was bombed out. They're like, how do we do stuff with our production? Sell, baby. And we were like, we'll buy. And we've been the biggest buying block in the world forever, the Americans. And I am worried what's going to happen because now the consumer trust is going down.
With the reciprocal tariffs happening right now, right, with Trump, I think what's going to happen, because so many nations have tariffs on the U.S. India, China, Mexico, Canada, they all have tariffs on the U.S. already. And now America being like, fine, you have tariffs on us, we'll match your tariffs. I think there is going to be a drastic reshifting of wealth again in the world. I'm not positive it's going to be wealth away from us, because Honda is already making a automotive plant in Arizona. We have Taiwan coming in with the chip factory. We have some other businesses coming in, investing in America, like South Korea and Japan for the pipeline in Alaska. They're dropping like hundreds of billions of dollars or something like that. So we are seeing economic input. I just feel like a lot of that economic input will never be seen by you or me. That's what I'm most worried about.
The problem is, so Honda can build all the plants they want here, fine. They will not, those car prices are going to be astronomical compared to the rest of the world. We're the most expensive place to build things, create things. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that we do need to have some manufacturing here, but as a world economy, just can't happen. People want us to build American, you don't, because you can't afford it. Like, look at,
because you have to pay people $25 an hour for them to work and do that type of stuff.
100%. So when I used to run the embroidery shop, I had a guy that was so staunch. He had me look all over the place. He wanted to buy American. He wanted to buy union made. I can't remember what it was. I think it was jackets. I looked so hard because there weren't a lot of them here, right? And I found someone. It was like 4 times the price of the stuff other I get. And he was like, "Okay, never mind." And I was like, "Yeah,
quick." That's what I thought. That too. Yeah.
Yeah. You were so pro American, pro union. All of a sudden, you're like, "That's a lot." You're like, "Yeah, I know it is." and I had to look high and low for these guys to find them. And so that's just the way it is. We cannot produce stuff in America the way they do. That's why we all our parts are made in Mexico, and we put them together here. Sure, American made, baby. No, America put together.
America assembled.
Yeah, America assembled. That's what we did. And so that Honda plant, stupid. Like building things like building chips here.
Well, the thought process, I think what it is that if Honda has a plant here, they're able to ship their cars to the Honda plant and then sell them as made in America if we just put the tires on. I don't know how it's going to work, but I figure it's just building loopholes around the tariffs is the main plan.
Probably. And you're probably right. I mean, there's probably a lot of truth to that. There will be some good things coming. Like I think there will be. There will have to be American companies trying to take advantage of this, to some extent. But I don't think there'll be enough good. It just, for what we are, it doesn't make sense. China's really, really, really good at manufacturing little parts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also artificially deflate their value of their currency to maintain that to maintain that manufacturing superiority.
Yeah, 100%. America, oil is based off the American dollar because we're such a big economy. That's our role, right? Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, these roles were really good. Everybody liked these roles. America was a military superpower that kept everybody from killing each other, and we had all the money. China and those other countries were big producers. Great. The problem is that these billionaires came in and said, "We want more," and we said, "What the fuck? Why? You're already
why do you want rich. More? I'm so mad about it."
That's what Tech Bros in fucking California, they were told, here's a blank checkbook. You become as rich as you want. Just make sure you're innovating. And then they stopped innovating. Like, can we still have that blank checkbook? And you're like, no, well, we're lobbying you. All right. Sure, have whatever you want.
No,
we have all the money now.
Yeah.
That's legit what happened. You gave them too much money and power. And it's ridiculous, this trade war is ridiculous. It's gonna hurt me and you. The average person is gonna pay more for their. Big box stores are already lining up and saying, "Hey, we're gonna get more expensive. Sorry, guys." And Musk isn't shopping at fucking Walmart or Target. He doesn't. He's like, "Oh no." He doesn't know where the hell his beans come from.
He just has a list of things he needs, and then he's like, "Cool, we're good. We got it," right? And people are like, "Yeah, you threw money at a problem, so now the problem's fixed." He's like, "Why doesn't everyone do this? It's so easy." It's because people don't have money to just throw stuff around. Like, if you go to the hospital, all of a sudden you're living destitute. If you don't have an extra 50 grand waiting, which who does, and you don't have good insurance.
And that is that's one of the craziest fucking things to think about in America, the richest country in the world, is a lot of people just aren't going to the hospital. Mm-hmm. They're like, can't afford that. You can't afford to live? No, I can't. If I go to the hospital, you roll the dice and hope it's not something bad. Once it gets so painful you have to go, you go, fuck, hopefully this kills me. It's fucking stupid.
Because who's going to pay the debt when I'm dead? Not me, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's for what? So some other dude can line his fucking pocket with billions of dollars? Why do you need more? I don't know. And it lines us up.
What blows my mind is I feel like we're so dumb because all I want to say is just make the rich people pay their taxes, and that solves all the problems. If the top 5% paid 80% tax and the bottom 80% people paid 5% tax, you're still getting a lot more money than you would be if the 80% of people were paying 50% tax, which is wild.
Yeah, that's the part. I think a lot of these fucking billionaire boys that are like billionaires that make economy go. It's I don't mind them making more money than me. I'm fine with it, and I get it because it is a lot of hard work. I don't want to be that guy. I just don't want them making all the money.
Yeah,
that's insanity.
Exactly.
They can have a big chunk of it. They can have most of it. Tell them they can have 50% of it. We'll take the other 50%. But no, they want 95% of it. And they're like, you guys can have the rest. Well, that's not going to work. Now we're poor.
What do you
we
mean my
not-
bank account isn't supposed to just go up always without end for infinity? That's what economy is. That's what economics said should happen. Which economics as our modern practice believes infinity can happen. Which just anyone who thinks about that for a second knows that's not true. Right? Isn't that ridiculous? I am more than happy to build a Bass Pro Shop out of quartz, and everybody who makes over a billion dollars, right? 999 million, so on and so forth, tax it 100%, and then you get a statue inside the giant pyramid. And congratulations, you beat capitalism. Everyone applauds you. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Great job. But then every penny above that goes straight into the government, goes straight to taxes. I feel like that would solve a ton of problems.
100%. I mean, we're putting that cap, like those high tax minimums, like an 80, 90% tax on anything over, let's say, $2 billion or $1 billion, whatever it may be. It said before, it incentivizes companies to invest in themselves, to make them more agile, to make them more innovative. They're like, hey, we either have $1 billion we can pay taxes, or $1 billion we can reinvest in the company, guys. How about we open a new department and we're gonna make better chips because next year we're gonna sell even more money. And they're like, and everybody would go, yay! And they'd go, hey, I'm still richer than all of you. And we go, we know, you deserve it.
Congratulations, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
And then they're like, I'm gonna go home to my house where I have children and we're gonna plan our vacation because everything's going swell. But instead they're like, how about
that's what the American dream was built on. That was the ideology. And now we want all of the heavy money, but none of the give. It's tearing America apart.
It is. And the thing is right now is I know we talked about this before is people kind of getting their, touching the stove. We're seeing what state is that? Is it Nebraska, where they're predicting like in 6 months they might be bankrupt, the entire state.
Oh, I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, it's crazy because the farmers, like USAID, bought, I think it was like somewhere like $2 billion a year in American agriculture, one of the biggest buyers of American agriculture in the world, and they distribute it everywhere around the world. And there are a lot of farms. I think it's Nebraska. I can't remember exactly which but there are farms that was what they did is they sold to USAID, and USAID it just said, hey, we're gone. And
we don't have a USAID anymore.
Yeah, and all the farmers are like, what happened? And they don't have any workers, and they're like, well, yeah, you should deport all these Mexicans. And then they were like, hey, who's working the farm today? And you're like, oh, what do you mean?
Steve won't. He wants $30 just to go pick turnips.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we can't support that. He'd have to pick so many turnips an hour. Yeah, he's also really slow, and he doesn't like doing it. So
yeah,
don't know what we're going to do about Steve.
And then on top of that, with the Inflation Reduction Act stuff, with the cost sharing for buying materials like fences and stuff like that, also gone.
Yep.
And on top of that, they're starting to have now sales. Like they're predicting their first sales coming in with people selling farm equipment. Who do you think is going to be the first one lining up to buy all that stuff? It's not going to be like other farmers because they're also broke.
It's going to be the big companies. And then the big companies are going to buy the farms. And then all of a sudden you have mono-controlled farms. Bill Gates is going to buy Nebraska farms. And then the Democrats are going to rule the farming industry. See, that's how we get them. That's how we get them. That's how we reverse it. We say that these rich Democrats are buying all the farms, so we need USAID to stop the encroach of the liberal elite. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas.
It's so stupid.
I hate how Team A, Team B, everything is in the world.
Well, because USA, like Bill Gates isn't going to buy the farm. He's going to buy the state of Nebraska. He's going to own the whole thing.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Nebraska, you need $2 billion? I could do that. Here you go.
Which is insane that any one person has more money than entire states.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking insanity. That is ridiculous. Like, the fact that we have a state that can go bankrupt because of these things. It's like, how is that not directly, how is that not
crisis? How is that not in a state of emergency?
How is that not impeachable? Like, for a government, like, hey, you did these things that directly affected so many farmers that a state might go bankrupt, that people are selling out farm equipment, that people don't know what, like, our people that supply us food don't know what they're going to do. No. How about no? How about fuck you? And like, at what point is there a trigger? Somebody to do something to stop this? Say no.
Also, if we're talking about farms, one law I drastically, immediately, and think should be changed without question is farmers should be able to save fucking seeds.
100%.
They should be able to grow a plant, get seeds, replant those seeds. The fact that it is illegal to do that and possibly a felony to do so is morally reprehensible. That's a crime.
100%, because like their argument is that what incentivizes Monsanto and these big guys, because there is a lot of work. I'll tell you, there is a ton of work. There are scientists that go in to make plants more efficient, to make seeds better, more
the genetics, the radiation, all of it. I get it.
And so their stuff is like, well, why, if these guys are redoing this, then what's our incentive? We can't do anything. It's like, well, how about we give you grant funding and say this is for the betterment of America, and you don't fuck over our farmers?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
And they're doing that. They're giving them grant funding, and they're still fucking over the farmers. It's like, you're like, well, why do we give you both? Why are we giving you? Because when they give these companies, like the company that's doing with the CHIPS Act stuff, the reason they're not doing it is because it's just like with their cost sharing with the American farmer, they're cost sharing with these guys. They're like, yeah, we'll help you build your plant, because it's gonna be better for everybody around here. And they're like, yeah, it's like, yeah, we're giving you money to do this stuff. Stop fucking people over. It's like, I'm good with that. It's like when they build stadiums in new cities. It's like, yeah, if this brings in more economics for our city, then we will cost share with you. Okay, but don't screw over our people. Don't outprice them so they can't go to the game.
And then they charge $25 for a hot dog, and people are like, why don't people like going to sporting events?
Yeah. They charge outrageous amounts. They don't pay their workers. And it's like, you can't, like, this money's going somewhere. If your workers aren't getting a lot of money and you're charging outrageous so your regular person can't go, your workers can't even afford it. I mean, that was what capitalism was built off of in America, is that the Ford plants are built so a worker at Ford could afford to buy a Ford car.
Yep.
And now you're like,
own a house and support a family of 4.
Yeah. Well, now, because now you're doing the things you're doing. A worker at fucking at the Seahawks stadium, Honda, whatever. I can't afford to buy this Honda. I buy a used car.
Yeah,
you're like, great. Okay, well, we went backwards a little bit. Ford is not a good person, but
well, see, that's the thing. Henry Ford, a lot of people can agree, did bad things. He also funded the U.S. Education system. He also funded the highway system. He funded trains and railroads. Like, he did the billionaire thing, and people are like, oh, he's bad. He did oil and cars and all this stuff. Yeah, but then he used the money that he was getting from being kind of a asshole businessman and reinvested it into the society so that they could then buy the things he's making. But our billionaires don't do that.
You know why, though? Because of taxes.
Taxes.
They taxed them. They had high taxes at that point. So what were his options? Either give it away through philanthropic purposes or fucking reinvest it into companies, do something with it, because I'm not giving it back to the fucking government.
Yeah.
At least I'll build a building with my name on it, and you guys will all thank me forever. And we're like, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we will. See, and I don't mind people being mad about the government. I don't mind billionaires skirting the law and not paying the government taxes. Screw the government. No problem. I do have a problem with the government saying, yes, screw us. Yes, go ahead, businessmen. Here you go, trillionaires. Have more money. Haha, we're doing good. No, that's a bad government.
Yeah, their job is for people to hate them, to bitch about it.
Yes.
It was going to be. But people need to be, I think a big part of it is people need to be more educated on what's actually happening with their tax dollar. What these things mean. Now, you don't need to know, obviously it's too much to know everything, right? No, obviously get really involved. Everybody has their day lives, but at least know how these things work, how grants work, what these people are supporting, and if they're lying about things they're supporting, like John Fetterman, who like is now basically a fucking MAGA Republican, like and ran as a Democrat and ran on those things, like he should be able to be, to lose his job. I don't know if it's called impeachment for congressman, whatever it is, but he's a dickhead.
He's a dickhead. That's fair.
You know what I mean? He's a liar. He lied. He ran on something, completely lied about it. It's like, if I told you I had all these skills and this is what I was going to do in my job, and then you hired me, and I didn't, you're like, yeah, but
you get fired quickly. But apparently that's not what happens.
No, yeah, we have to hold our politicians to a higher standard, and we're just not. We're just
Now,
not
I'm
right
not
now.
saying that we need more Luigis out in the world. I am, however, saying that people who vote should know who and what they're voting for. And if people don't follow what they say they're going to do, there should be a process for the American people to say, you lied, you're a crook, get out of office.
Now, I'm not saying there should be more Luigi's in the world either, but I will say this: I understand.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand.
I understand
fully.
It is. If people talk about violence not being the answer, are people that are not having the violence subjected to them, though, right? Like, so right now, for me and you, right? I've been to the poorest of poor, though, but
Yeah.
you, like me and you are both.
We're
in a
very
situation-
privileged right now.
Yes, exactly. You own a home, so it's not that bad. But for some people who are like, "Hey, my brother died because he couldn't afford insulin."
Yeah.
You just killed my brother. Fuck you.
Because the guy
You
who
know what?
bought insulin jacked up the price 5,000%
And laughed about it.
and was happy and still is happy about it. And he's like, yeah, we're making great profits. People need insulin. That's
if you
an
have a loved one-
inflexible like demand. So
If
you
you had
could raise it
someone
as much as you can. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. No, yeah. If you had someone that died because of that, maybe you want to shoot the guy.
Yeah, that's a
I
very
get it.
human reaction to have.
And so I don't like the idea that there is never a call for violence, because at one point, like right now, what we're doing isn't seeming to work, right? They're doing violent things on one side, and we are in for good or bad. My elected officials are Democrat. I don't really consider myself a Democrat in the current party because they're a bunch of
Me neither.
pussies, for what it is, yeah. But that's who I vote for, because I think they more align with my values than our other far right option. But they're doing nothing. Like there's no battling. Like you don't see them even being mad. Like in the State of the Union, if you really feel this way, you really feel
All they
you're
did was
destroying
sit
America,
there and hold up a sign. No.
Yeah. Walk out, yell at
Bullshit.
him, do something, show you're not a fucking pushover. Because all these things they're talking about, like even when Kamala Harris is running against them and Biden, they're like, they're like, look how professional they are. It's like, I don't want you to be professional anymore. I want you to fight.
We're past that a little bit.
Yeah, they don't.
There should
They
be
don't do-
decorum when you're communicating with people. However, if someone is actively assaulting your people, a little bit less decorum would be okay at the moment.
Yeah, they're breaking the rules. We should be not breaking the rules. You know what I mean? Like they're not following the typical standard, and neither should the Democrats. And it's frustrating because you hear nothing. You hear no news, and you're like, I wonder what they're doing. The answer is nothing. They're like, oh, well, we're building this case against Trump. Yeah, what do they do? Nothing.
Again, a third impeachment, a fourth impeachment. Who cares? Who cares about impeaching Trump? What does it do? It does nothing. He has 34 felonies and he's president. I'm fine with a felon being president. I don't care about that. That's American. Go for it. I do care about our process of being like, the president is bad, we need to do something. Being a limp dick. It does nothing.
100%. I mean, when like Obama, giant pussy towards the end, right? When it was time for him to put a new judge in, they argued, oh, it's too late. There was no battle. They didn't allow him. So okay, well, we'll let you the next one. Then let Trump put in the new judge on the Supreme Court, and then when it was
Didn't
same
he
thing
put
with him,
3 Trumps in? Didn't he put 3 judges in?
yes, and towards the end of his last, when his presidency was come to an end with less time than what Obama had, they didn't fight him either.
Nope.
It's like you're toothless. You're fucking cowards.
Almost because boy, I've been a Democrat for years on years, but it really does feel like they're just the same side, and they're like, this is your side that you can vote on, or this is the side that's gonna take action. So do you want to be part of the party that says, no, we love everyone, but does nothing? Or do you want to be part of the side that says, hey, these people are bad and we will take action? Because like it or not, the side that takes action wins every time.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't trust them. I don't like them. I don't like any of them. Like they're all like we had a shot with Bernie Sanders, right? He had such good support behind
He got
him.
assassinated
So much
in
support.
the fucking primaries.
And I will never forgive them for that. But the same thing with Joe Biden. People are claiming he's a hero for dropping out, and it's like, no, you didn't do anything. You did not. You should have been pushing a candidate for the last year of your presidency, knowing you're too old to do this. Maybe it was Kamala Harris, maybe it wasn't. But push somebody.
Also,
And then Kamala
he
Harris-
has been dead silent since Trump has been president. Have you heard him once? Seen him once?
Him and
Do
Harris,
anything?
fuck them. They're cowards. And fuck Joe Stein, by the way.
Fuck him as well. Yes, agreed. But I think his cognitive decline was very rapid in there, and I honestly think that the last year of his presidency, he didn't really know what was happening or why or when. Like, they would stick him full of steroids, and he's on mental health drugs, but I wouldn't be surprised if he croaks it in the next 5 years or before Trump is out.
It's these old people I hate, like, because even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right?
RBG,
now I know
yeah.
all the good she did. She did a lot of good, and she was a very, she did a lot of work on there, you know. But the problem is she was so old. They asked her, like, you know, people were talking about it. Should you step down? Because what if something happens to you during Trump's presidency, and then he gets to replace a very left-leaning judge with a very, very right-leaning judge, and she refused because maybe it's because she thought she could hold on, but it's hubris. It's like, no, I'm so good, I can do this. It's like, dude, you're fucking 80 and you're sickly. Please give up your power to someone younger in their 40s and 30s and 50s that can do this longer now. It's your time to give up power. And she refused.
Yep.
And look where we're at in this mess. The same thing with fucking Biden. Sure, did you beat him once? Absolutely. Give up your power to someone younger that can now beat him this time. And because of these old people's refusal to give up power, it's causing so much trouble for the rest of us.
If Biden would have sat there in the last year and a half of his presidency and went, hey, AOC, we're doing this. You're going to be running. You're going to be the president. Fucking throw everything you have at this and give it your best shot. We probably would have had a female president. Now, I don't know if AOC's 35 or however old she is, but regardless, that would have been youth. That would have been energy. That would have been ideology. And with that, you can get the presidency.
Well, I think Kamala could have won too had they done it earlier.
So many people didn't like her. A lot of people hated her, man. I don't think Kamala could have won. I don't. The way she communicated her policies was ineffectual for the common person.
That's what I mean, though. Is like, so if you line her up for a year before, right, and start pushing her as this is going to be one of our next candidates for president,
and a primary,
gives her time to not just shoehorn in people. It gives people this option, this choice. It gives her a chance to make mistakes and then repackage her messaging. Because no one's perfect. I mean, the yes we can stuff didn't work at first for Obama. You know, he had to change his strategy a bunch of times. That's what happens. But you do 4 months in and you're like, this is your only option. Like, what are you doing? You're handing him the presidency. This is exactly what happened with Hillary Clinton. I think she could have won as well if it wasn't for them fucking people being mad about her about the Democratic Party getting rid of Bernie.
You know what it is? The Democrats really think that they are the intellectual elite. They do. They think that their ideas are better than everybody else's idea. What that causes is that they like to choose who gets to run as president. And Americans hate being told what to do. We hate being told who we vote for and what the outcome will be. Under no circumstance, if somebody was like, you have to vote for this person, and you're not given any other choices, I'd say at least 70% of Americans would be like, no, regardless of who it was, regardless of how qualified or competent they were. We'd be like, you can't tell me who to vote for. I'm an American. This is my right. I choose.
Yeah, it's like the videos that tell you to stop scrolling. And you're like, no.
Yeah, stop scrolling. It's late. Goodbye.
I don't care what your message is. I'm gone. Don't ever tell me what to do. And that's exactly it. Is they told us. Like, I mean, Republicans made a joke about it, they shoehorn, you know, like, technically, yeah, we did vote her as vice president, but they are right. She may have been my choice, but now she has to be my choice. There's no other option. And the thing is, too, is she didn't go visit those communities. She was only visiting swing states. She wasn't out in, you know, in these smaller communities. And, like, Biden did a really good job at the indigenous community. I know we talked about that before, is he was really good at making sure those communities felt seen and explaining to them, hey, these are things, sending out Obama and these other politicians to go and talk to these people, explain to them what they needed. And that's how he got so much fucking support. Do you think, like you think Native communities are you know, hate black women more than they hate a white man, you know, coming into their community? No, but it's nothing to do with that. It's literally just that they didn't do it. They didn't put the groundwork in. They had a bunch of money and thought that would overwhelm people. It's like, sure, I'm glad we got you your money. I'm glad we did these things. but you didn't do the outreach. You didn't have the time, and you made us pick somebody. And because of Biden's fucking hubris, or maybe that was the game plan all along, is that they handed over to Kamala so we wouldn't have a choice. Whatever it was, they screwed us.
Feels
again.
like it.
Yeah, this is just like with Hillary again. It wasn't that Hillary was a bad candidate. It's that we had one that we wanted, and they said no. Not going to happen. And we're like, okay.
Well, it's because they're so scared of having an actual liberal populist movement, to have an actual society that's built around the base of society, right? And that can use the voting power, economic power, and the physical movement of our bodies to create change in our government. Because the establishment has been established for decades and decades and decades. They've been living and breathing in the old style of governance. And Trump, love or hate him, knows how to use social media. He knows how to use influencers. He's the content president. He's the president who knows how to make clips, who knows how to use the media and use cameras. Well, the Democrats don't like that or know how to use it.
No, 100%. Because the messaging now is like, so for me and you and people that are more, open to politics, right? We listen a lot more. It's easy for me to see through his bullshit and say, all right, not going to happen. You know what I mean? I know maybe I don't like Kamala, maybe I don't like Biden, but I know they're much better than Trump. Easy. But I think the messaging for us is different than the messaging for, say, someone like my mom. Like my mom, who's not into politics, she doesn't really follow politics. She knows she doesn't like Trump, but she also knows, she's like, well, she knows she's not getting any richer the last couple of years. Nothing happened, so she also doesn't like Biden. So she's just like, I'm not going to vote. Your messaging needs to reach her.
Yeah,
your messaging needs to reach people.
That's the most important person to reach. That is who your target demographic should be.
And Trump, with his simple messaging of, hey, I'll get us more money, I'll make us more jobs.
Biggest, best, greatest ever. Boom.
Yep. He's not saying how he's going to do it. Not saying, he's just telling you, hey, tariffs. And everybody's like, oh, tariff. Okay. Do tariffs make more money?
What a beautiful word. The best word. We're going to make it. And they tariff us. We're going to tariff them. Same rate. It's fair. Time to finally be fair. American number one. That's all it takes. And
that's a lot of people were like that. They're like, yeah, he's an asshole and all these things, but he said he's going to make America better. And that's literally all they heard, because that's all they have time to hear, and they don't want to get involved in politics. But the Democrats, they spent all their time not messaging people that, and they're not fighting him on these words. They're not telling people. They're not simplifying the message. They didn't come in and say, hey, we're going to be your hero and fix this thing for you as well. They just said, vote for me. And everyone said, why? Yeah.
Because we're Democrats, and we're not Trump. We solved the problem. What?
Thanks. Yeah.
That's nothing. That's a shit sandwich without bread. Like,
yeah, they should have went to the farmers and told them, hey, he's going to get rid of USAID.
I mean, I hate to say it, but like the border is down to 8,000 crossings a day or something like that, instead of like the 80,000 that was happening under. Then again, I'm using the numbers that Trump was saying on the convention speech. So who knows what the real numbers are. But like the actions he takes create reactions versus not taking any action, having no reaction at all. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the actions he's taking, I really do hope changes the viewpoint for most Americans, because we're gonna feel it. We're gonna feel it in the food. We're gonna feel it in our water prices, and we're gonna feel it in our the cars. Because right now, say like you have a new Toyota truck that you want to buy, $80,000, top of the line. It's got all the bells and whistles. That $80,000 truck now costs $110,000 in one day, just because of the tariffs.
Yeah, and that's the other part, people. And I mean, it's going to be a very complicated situation, because like some of the stuff like cars, energy, gas prices, those things are all going to change. I mean, none of them are all 1-to-1. But some things will get much more expensive. Some things will maybe won't get as expensive as we think. But like you're right, like car parts, because it's going to come down from up high to the dealership out to parts guys to whoever. You know what I mean? Whatever it's going to cost them, they're going to add a little bit extra on top of it too, as it goes, and it's going to get insane. We don't know what it's going to be.
Well, because people need to make profit. Otherwise, what are they doing it for?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. And if it's going to cost them 25% more, yeah, hey, it's going to cost you 25% more. I don't know what America's going to do. I know we had a lot of oil from both Mexico and Canada. we have a lot of oil ourselves. There's other places we can buy from, but at what at what price are we going to open up our reserves? What is it
Well,
going to be?
one position where we're gonna make a shit ton of money here in the next couple of years is BlackRock just bought 3 or 4 ports on either side of Panama Canal. So we're gonna be controlling who goes in and out of the Panama Canal, which is a huge shipping line. And thank goodness BlackRock, the military company, bought it.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
Trying to control the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Trump, when he was running, says, "Oh, yeah, we could take the Panama Canal. All we'd have to do is put an aircraft carrier on both sides, and it's ours. What are they going to do?" And it's like,
but
it's accurate, but I hate it.
what I'm saying is pre World War II. I think this is the other thing is we're so privileged, right? Our entire generation, not just us, boomers, Gen X, all of us, every human alive right now is so privileged because pre World War II and even probably pre World War One, if another country wanted something from another country, they just take it.
Yep. It looks like we're repeating history.
Yeah,
we're getting close.
Are you big and strong enough to fight me off? No, then that's mine. And that's as simple as it went. It's like, can we make money by doing this? A lot of countries, that's what they're like. Ancient Rome, I guess it goes like further, but ancient Rome, that was how they made money. The generals are like, rich people wanted to be the ones leading the invasion because they make money, and they wanted to defend it because they wanted to defend their money. Only in the last 80 years since Bretton Woods has America said, "Hey, we'll be the big stick."
Yep.
And everyone said, "Okay." And we've lived our entire lives. Basically, all human beings right now, alive on Earth, live their entire lives not knowing invasionary war, just going and taking things if you want it. And now we're like, it's like America's like, well, I'll just take stuff now. We're not doing it economically. We're not doing it. We're not helping people. That's what USAID was. USAID brought us a lot of goodwill with other countries. USAID, let us like other countries like, hey, we'll let you in. We don't care. You're helping us. And cool.
It's like we have a 15-year-old playing Civ 6 who was going an economic route, and then he got up to a certain technological level, and he went, "Cool, war," and we're just starting to click across the playing field and see who we can take out, and we're ramping up our military form.
And there are consequences to this.
Another thing, Trump is incentivizing building ship manufacturing in America again with U.S. Steel, so that we can have as much ships as we want, basically. And if I know one thing about America and our boats, we love our boats and we love to use them for war specifically.
And that's something though I actually am for. I am pro that kind of stuff. If you want to build military things, that's what, like I said, that's the things we're good at here. We build military shit. If you want to invest more money in building more military shit, like they're building, I told you, I think it's 9 a year now, submarines in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. I'm glad. Build more of them. We have them. But that's only if we're going to be the world police, though. If we're going to be an invasionary force, obviously, I mean, I still want us to win because we're American.
You want to be the invader that wins, not the invader that loses. That's for sure.
But if you want to take just want to take the Panama Canal, if you want to just take Greenland, if you want to joke that Trudeau is our governor, not the fucking Prime Minister of Canada, that's insanity. That means you're just...
Hold up. It is insanity unless he wins. And then all of a sudden, insanity becomes genius. It's dependent on results. If he loses and makes America go into an absolute free fall, like our stock market is right now, and we become the massive laughing stock, and we can't hold ourselves up in war, and we can't be the military might that we want to be, all of a sudden the U.S. power of the world is gone. Forever gone. But if he wins, if he takes Canada and he takes Greenland and is able to secure Panama, and we're able to make all of North America and Central America under the U.S. dominion, that's an empire, baby.
The thing is, though, is we had an empire.
Yeah.
We were other countries, NATO. We had NATO. People talk about.
We controlled NATO for sure.
Exactly. We were the big dog of NATO. Everybody wanted to be part of NATO. Everyone wanted to be part of the American fucking blanket of protection. Mm-hmm. That's why Russia was so mad about Ukraine. Is they were like, we don't want them joining you because we know why you don't want them joining us because everybody wants to join. It was basically China and Russia. America was an empire, and this is what I mean is like this dude's such a fucking tool. It's like we already controlled people economically, and everybody was happy about it because that's what the game we play right now. You want to why militarily? What benefit is it to go and invade Canada when Canada basically lock and step with us, did everything we wanted to do? They were in every treaty we were in. They're economically we match very well. If we go to war, they go to war. Mm-hmm. They love us. Canada those are our cousins, and now it's like trade war. Why? Hey, we should take them as our 51st state. Why? What benefit?
Yeah, what changes? What absolutely changes other than we don't have a border of trade anymore, right?
And that they absolutely fucking despise us.
Yeah. And doing a guerrilla war against Canada, Canada, they're the reason why the Geneva Convention got made. Like I don't want to deal with the Northern Woods and having to deal with the fucking hockey leagues who are more than willing to kill as many people as need be coming through the Canadian wilderness. That's a terrible situation.
Well, that's what I mean. These guys are stupid like that we're we're going to show them who's boss. Like, I don't think you know how that works, right? Like, because literally that was Rome's strategy for a long time. Then they switched their strategy to making everybody Roman citizens. Because they're like, we can't control these fucking people. We can conquer them. Sure, we can take their land. We can beat them for a second.
And they revolt. And they revolt.
Because we're conquering their land. But if we tell them, hey, you're Romans, that's essentially what Americans are right now. We're telling everybody, hey, you're Americans. Yeah, here's aid. We have the big stick. We have the U.S. economy. The world economy is based on us. It's like if we just keep being friendly and do innovation and we keep other people from fighting each other, sure, world's is safe. But now we're like, how about we just take your land? And you got to question why. What's the point?
If
Trump wants to be the conqueror?
Now, just had a thought process while you were talking there. If Trump changed it, say in like 6 months or a year, so that, hey, any country who wants to become a territory of the U.S. will no longer have to pay tariffs of any type, and then make a deal like that, and all of a sudden we get multiple territories out in the world, like Guam, like Puerto Rico, like all that type of situation, and they become territories and they become U.S. citizens, but they're not able to vote for president, and all that economic situation all of a sudden gets evaporated because we're part of the same nation. That would be brilliant. That would be a brilliant move. I don't think he's going that route, but I just thought of it myself, and that seems like a good choice.
100%. If that's something, and again, I would applaud him for it. If you can use diplomacy instead of, the threat of a stick, like there's just no. I don't see any good benefits right now, with the exception of people like China, right? China who constantly tests people. They want to bring their carriers over into the strait near Taiwan. They do that stuff. Those are the people you give the stick to, right? Yeah. America's like, all right, you want to attack people, we'll bring our military too. But the people like Greenland
Which right now, I don't know if America would protect Taiwan in the climate we're in.
No, because I didn't think we'd ever go against fucking Ukraine. That's sad.
I didn't think we'd ever be pro-Russia. We just pulled out of all forward operating information for Ukraine. So any type of technological services we were providing to like donate where Russian troops were, or movements, or like battlefield projections, all that stuff that we were doing to help Ukraine, were completely cut off yesterday. Completely gone.
Yeah, and they're threatening cutting off weaponry that we've already sent over, like that just won't work. Yeah, like other we
because of the chip systems. Yeah,
we build so many weapons that other countries are getting scared. They're getting spooked and being like, okay, and that's the main thing too. Is if you can no longer trust America, like we're built on trust, right? Our bonds are built on, hey, you're gonna get your money back. Our military weapon is based on it's gonna work. America is the gold standard for the world right now. We're starting to erode that trust. And people are like, well, so we're showing people how strong we are. It's like, no, we're showing people how weak we are. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of, it's like being the father of the world and starting beating people instead of making them love you.
Yeah.
And they're like, look how strong I am.
Look what happened to Kronos. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. These people that are into it. It's like, is that what you think? I hate to see how your household is run. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of that is the patriarchal mindset, where the man who's in charge should be able to do what he wants. should be the head of the household and his word is law, which America for so long, our word is law. I don't get me wrong, there are countries and nations and ideologies that are opposed to us, and it was very clear that those are the bad guys and we're the good guys. All of a sudden, it's no longer clear that we're the good guys and those are the bad guys. All of a sudden, we're starting to go like, well, we kind of do the same stuff. Oh, well, our actions mirror what China is doing or what Russia is doing. Actually, what if America and Russia are friends, and then we make a union with Russia against the EU? All of a sudden, we're able to have so many more economic availability to us.
And, you know, I think it gets scarier and scarier as it seems like we get closer and closer to war. Is at what point because I would be willing to bet most Americans, the vast majority, do not want like a war with, like, say, Canada.
No.
Right?
No.
What would happen if he says, hey, we're going to take Canada, we're going to invade Canada, you know what I mean? What happens? Because apparently over there, I was watching a TikTok today. I don't know how true this is, but like this Canadian lady, she's like, "Do Americans know that Canada is like prepping because we're scared you guys are going to go to war with us?" And I'm like, and I didn't know that.
That's a wise choice to do.
Wise decision. And I'm like, how scary is that? That because on the opposite end, like I'm not worried that Canada, like, but we were in their shoes and we were worried like, hey, Oregon's got to prep, you know, because Canada might invade Washington. Like, that's terrifying. And on there, I don't know if that's completely true. Like I said, it's a TikTok video. I'm not 100% sure. But just that thought process is like, at what point do the American
I have no doubt that individuals are preparing. Whether or not it's a state-sanctioned, like, hey, prepare for invasion type of situation, probably not. But the smart people who are like, actually, we need food, we need water, we need to be prepared for in case we do face armed invasion from the U.S., that's a smart situation to be in, because I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, but my point is that at what point do our military leaders and do our, you know, the rest of our, you know, other leadership say no? At what point can we really think about impeaching this guy and saying you are doing damage to the American system? You're attacking our allies that we don't want to attack. At what point can we say no? We don't want to take the Panama Canal. We want improvement for everybody across the world. At what point are there fail-safes that trigger? What's happening?
J.D. Vance did say that he thinks Trump and a lot of the actions that he's taking are going to be taken to the Supreme Court, and that some of them will fail. He also did say that I think Trump should just be like, the judicial system has made their decree, let them enforce it. Right? To stand there and say, enforce it then, stop me. At that point, you either fully take him out and arrest him and put him in jail, put him in handcuffs, throw him in orange and he's in a jumpsuit, or you have a dictator. Because if you're not able to enforce the judicial decrees, which right now we don't have any official form to do, we don't have any official, like, this is the person that arrests the president type of situation. And right now we're looking at a situation where we might just stand by and see that's illegal. He's doing it anyways. I mean, he got rid of the JAG officers for the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy, the head JAG officers. Those are the people who say, that's an illegal order, don't do that. He got rid of those guys. He's put in the Secretary of Defense as one of his close friends. He's replaced most of the high-level generals who have been openly opposed to him, like the National Guard lady who was in there for like 30 years and had been an amazing National Guard secretary, not commandant. Commandant? I'm going to say National Guard commandant because that's what the Marine Corps has. He replaced her with somebody way less qualified. So I think he's preparing his people to not say no. To have the people who say, I don't believe Donald Trump can or will give an illegal order. Like his Secretary of Defense has said. I think now is the moment where those type of situations where the no happens and we're not hearing a single no.
That's one of my big problems right now, too, is all these guys resigning and protests, things like that. Don't resign.
You and I are on the exact same page. I have a friend right now, I'm not going to say his name, who's in the military, who's currently a captain. And he's like, I'm having thoughts about not having the uniform. Like, I don't like it. I don't like how it feels. I don't like what it's standing for right now. And I'm like, hey, that means you, above all other people, should be wearing the uniform right now. So you can say no to illegal orders, so you can stand in protest, and so that you can work within the system and hold true value to what you are doing, regardless of what your commanders are telling you to do, so that you can be the one making the choice. That's what matters.
100%. And there are people all over. I think people are underestimating how much power, though, individuals have within these systems, and why you're right. You guys should not be, is because it takes one person to make a decision to not do something, or to do something that changes things. It's like you can, hey, this came from up top, and they want you to do this thing, like, and someone can say no.
Yeah. Like during the Cold War, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, somebody got ordered to launch a nuclear missile on the United States, and the person who was supposed to press the button said, nope, I'm not doing that. And he was ordered, and he was arrested, and he said, no, I will not press that button. And he didn't. And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, an order came down, cancel order. Do not press the button, do not fire. And then the Cold War was pretty much finished after that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they want us to separate ourselves from Americans to Mexicans to Canadians to Middle Eastern people to Europeans to. They want us all to separate each other. Everybody's pretty much the same. We're all like, dude, stop fucking with me.
Yeah, divided you fall. United we stand.
Whoever that Russian soldier or commander, whatever they were, they're probably the same way. They're like, no, I want to go home and see my family. I don't, you know what I mean? I want to have sex with my wife. I don't want to blow up the world. This is not what you know what I mean? That's, and they have this idea that we should all be hating each other and that we're invading. And they're gonna say, I mean, at what point do they just say, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna fucking, because it is scary that we're even talking. Like, if you told me even the day Trump won, that we'd be talking about, that we even have a conversation theoretically about what if we invaded Canada in a realistic way.
Are you talking about his first election or the most recent one?
The most recent one.
Nah, I would have believed it for sure. I mean, he was talking about it on his campaign trail.
No, not for me. Just realistically, like, I thought maybe the tariff stuff. I thought the tariff stuff was bluster. But the fact that he's actually doing it, and you're right. I mean, I guess there's nothing off the table with this fucking guy.
Well, one thing that I have learned from his first presidency is that Trump doesn't know how comedy works, and he doesn't joke. He doesn't make jokes about things. He likes to put things out first and get reactions. He seeds in the ideas, and then he builds on them. He nurtures them. He fertilizes from the ground up. I am not going to be surprised if in 2027, probably, I bet 2027, where we're going to have a constitutional amendment or a constitutional reform where we're going to go through the entire U.S. Constitution and change amendments. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the votes for that.
Maybe. I'm really looking forward to the midterms.
Yeah.
Because these I think these Republicans are in for a fucking hailstorm, dude. Like, I mean, it's shitty that they're only mad now that it's affecting them. But the Republican,
well, they stopped doing town halls because people were so mad at them.
Yeah, they're furious because they're taking their money. There's the one of the guys that voted for Trump that worked for a vet's office, like 6,000 for the VA, 6,000 vets were fired. And he's like, we need our jobs back. This is not what Trump promised us. It's like, Trump promised all of it. What are you talking about?
This is exactly what he said. Yeah.
You thought because you voted for him, you weren't on the chopping block? We all are. And so the people you hate were helping you. The people the people you hate were the ones that don't want vets fired, that want our vets taken care of. People that have sympathy and empathy. The people, those are the guys, the people you hate that you're calling fucking snowflakes. You're also a snowflake, buddy. Because you have thoughts. I want these vets to get their jobs back. Yeah. That's empathy, man. A lot of people want them to get their jobs back.
That is empathy. Congratulations, you're feeling it for the first time.
Yeah, dude. It just hurts your people now. It's like, it just, expand that out a little bit and start filling some for everybody, and we can kind of get this thing done. Vote these fucking people out. I think with enough, because they're already trying to, impeach judges now, getting
Yep.
getting rid of judges.
Because federal judges are blocking unconstitutional actions, and Trump says, no, you can't do that. It's like, actually, that's what the whole judicial system is built for, so they can.
That's why it's there, buddy. Yeah, and so it's scary, man. We're living in the scariest timeline. I hate that we're kind of, I don't want to call it our prime, but we're in our prime, like, understanding and voting age right now. This is happening, and it fucking blows.
Oh, like, you and me, our generation, we're like 30. We can actually see what the world is doing and how it operates.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The 30 to 40-year-olds right now are like in the prime, like, we should be the ones taking leadership roles, and it's like, this is...
oh no. Yikes.
I hate this.
Yeah.
I hate all of this. Because when you're a little bit younger, I don't think it's as interesting. You don't fully understand. And as you get older, you start understanding because more things affect you directly, and then you whatever, all of this stuff. I think we're now in our full on. If we're ever gonna get political, it's right now type of phase, and it's like, man, this is. And then sometimes I wonder, I'm like, was it like this always, and I'm just now more aware of it?
It wasn't as dramatized as it is now. It definitely feels like everything happening in politics is much more built for the show than it has been in our past. Like, I feel like George Bush was the beginning where a lot of stuff was built for show. The cameras were fully involved. He was able to give the speeches, W for the W, all that type of stuff. I thought he was going to be one of our stupidest presidents. We have Trump. But so that was proven wrong. And then Obama capitalized on how to use media. He was phenomenal at it. He was a good orator. He could speak to the common people, and he knew how to use like the State of the Union addresses and all that stuff to get the people behind him. Biden was bad at it. He was what was more of a version of old school politics and how he talked and how he operated around the media, where he just took action and then the media would cover it later. Whereas Trump loves to speak the action before it happens. The media reacts to everything happening. Then he does it. Then the media reacts to it again. And he's already done 2 more things in that timeline. So we're definitely getting more content creation presidents.
Yes. And honestly, I am sick of it. I want politics to be boring again.
Yeah.
I want them to be like, oh, that happened. I think the hard part with a lot of these people is the same thing. I don't know.
we should do Love is Blind, but as a president. So we don't see who they are. We can just hear their voice. Like, we can just they can give speeches and their ideas and their ideologies and their plans, but we can't, they can't clip, and they can't have like our perception of them or whatever. I feel like that would change drastically what would happen.
I disagree. I don't even want their speeches or their voices, just their policies. What are you going to run on, buddy? What are you gonna do? Tell me what your plan is, and then we have to read. Unfortunately,
we have to read. People won't. People refuse to read. People hate reading.
It is because these bills are so chunky, but
no. It's not even because the bills are so chunky. People don't like the time it takes. I love reading. I'm a big reader. I read books all the time. Last year, I read over 40 books. To some people, that's chump change. To the vast majority of Americans, most Americans won't read a book in a year.
Oh yeah, I love books. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm a reader. One thing about me, I also like
and reading builds empathy.
I like reading documents.
You are rare.
Well, because there's so much information there. If you want to understand what's happening and tendencies and things like that, you can read documents. I like reading RFPs. I want to read them all the way through to figure out what's in them. But also, if you give me a document and you say, hey, this will affect these things, I want to know why and what's in there. Yeah, and I will read the whole fucking thing. I'll take my day. I don't care. I got time. Let's do this thing. I'm not going anywhere because I can't afford to go anywhere. Let's read. And I think more Americans, not everybody needs to be like that, but I think if we at least understood what's happening, there needs to be a dumbed down version of a lot of things, simplified, saying, hey, this is what this means. This is what's going to happen. By cutting these funding, like I said, the understanding that NIST getting cut was going to lead to the repeal of the CHIPS Act, unintentionally or intentionally, but not directly, is real, and people should be told that. People from these states that they're getting fucked, the farmers right now, because USAID got dismantled, is when they're talking about, hey, we're going to cut budgets from certain places, from this, right? They're going to cut USAID funding. These farmers probably are like,
Sure, I don't know what USAID does.
yeah.
Oh, they were paying me. Whoa, when did that happen?
All that money, yeah, and like that should be very standard practice. Saying, hey, you guys, all of you, your contracts with USAID, your contract with USAID, your contract with USAID. If they dismantle USAID, you no longer get those money, and you got to find somewhere else to sell your crops. And then they could say, okay, now I'm going to vote. Now I will vote. Fuck that. You know what I mean?
But I hate how reactionary it all has to be. How much, now I'm affected. Now I'll stand up. You should stand up for the people who are affected before you.
But they're not gonna. So I mean,
they never will.
But I think it's everybody. But everybody has their policy that's most directly to them, right? If you asked 1,000 people, hey, I'm going to give you $1 million to donate to a charity of your choice, you'd have a bunch of different answers.
Oh yeah.
Whatever is important to everybody, everybody has something that's important to them. Farmers, their most important thing is feeding their family and doing their crop. Because honestly, even
feeding your family and my family and all of our families.
Exactly. Yes, is feeding. But thing is, like, I've been around. Like, I worked in very, very like Trump country area over in Lebanon. They're just like your Democratic friends. Sure, a little less. Obviously, there is some racism and stuff there, but even the racism is not really racism. It's just what's the word I'm looking for? Them not knowing. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I know exactly what you mean. When I was in the Marines, I was bunked up with a Puerto Rican guy, a guy from Chicago, and a guy from Texas. And by the time we were done in our schoolhouse, the Texas guy was like, "Oh, you guys are like really great for N-words." And I mean, everyone was kind of taken back. It's like, I just never dealt with your type of people before. You're all like, you're smart, and you're kind, and you're nice, and like you do all this other stuff. And it was really like, well, no one was happy that he was racist, but it was kind of an eye-opening moment where everyone kind of looked around and was like, you had just never dealt with people with color in their body, and you thought that they were somehow a different type of person, when really they're just people.
Because they're getting they're getting all their news and all their ideas from everybody in their community, and they're getting all their news from people before them and before them, and now they have this generalized idea of like, it's like people over there that say, "Oh, Portland's trash." Like, Portland pays for everything you got, man. You got no, you know what I mean? The big city pays for all your shit. That's where all the money is. What are you talking about?
And now Portland's broke, so you're about to be really broke.
Yeah.
By the way. Oh, I didn't even think about that. If Portland doesn't have any money, they're not giving money out to Eastern Oregon. They're not going to be able to support a lot of the systems that they have in place right now.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Albany also has a shortfall. $718,000.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about it, man. Oh, no.
If you got an extra $718,000, you could help out. Chip in.
I wouldn't. If I had an extra $718,000, I'd be like, that's mine.
That's my money.
Girded like a dragon. No.
It's all stuff. They're like, oh, we're going to cut funding to the hospitals and to the libraries. Just the little stuff, you know? And it's going to affect all these Medicaid cuts, too. As the other part is these rural communities. They're about to get fucked again. Like, they're already talking about over in Coos Bay is that in that more rural community is cutting off the hospital over there.
Yeah.
It's like, now your drive's going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to a hospital. What if you're pregnant? What if you get shocked? What if you get really sick?
What if while you're working on the farm, someone breaks a leg, which happens, and then all of a sudden you need to go 2 hours to there, and you're dealing with cars, because I guarantee you an ambulance isn't coming all the way out.
No.
That's for sure.
Exactly. And these are going to be real effects that these people are going to start feeling. That $880 million a year is a lot of fucking money that goes into different
That's a lot
systems.
of children who are at stake. That's a lot of people who are going to go, well, if there's no money for the clinic, then I guess there's no clinic. I guess I'll just see if it goes away, right? And then they're going to be dying from preventable diseases, like measles in Texas. We have measles again.
Which is, just so great. And even things like food stamps, WIC, those help children. And also, WIC is a subsidy.
Oh, thanks, love. You got me a coffee?
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't even know you left.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What a nice lady.
Ha, sneaky. Love you.
I think you're okay.
Fair.
Which, haven't got. We don't really know each other that well, you know.
I'm a big fan.
Big fan. Okay, that's fair. No, but no, these a lot of these things too. Again, these red states, they see them as like WIC. They're like, oh, all these people living off the government. WIC is a subsidy for dairy farmers.
Yeah, because of milk and cheeses and food subsidies, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's literally if you want to talk about a welfare, that is for your farmers.
Cutting the $880 million from Medicaid is going to directly affect the pharmaceutical companies. And I don't think that they understand that. It's going to directly affect the health and insurance companies. All those things are going to be absolutely rocked when this goes through.
Absolutely. Here's the thing, though. This is actually what excites me and why I do have a little bit of hope. Is that so? The same thing with the big. I think it was Department of Interior. I can't remember which department it was.
Sure.
They're consultants though, right? They said go through your top 10, whatever your highest price consultants, whatever, and we need to make sure we're cutting budgets on them. Those consultant companies aren't small, huge, and they're talking. People think consulting too is a weird thing. Is like this. They think of business consultants, and even them, they don't think they have any value. They talk shit about them like they talk shit about lawyers and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these consultants, they're like temporary hires to fix big problems. They can be consultants on like engineering, on your software to make sure we have defense. To make sure everything's up to snuff, especially in times like during tax season. If we need more things like that, these are the kind of consultants, and they're very, very good at their job, and that's why they cost so much money. And we don't have to hire them long term, and that's why they pay so much money for them. But these consultant companies, they're huge. And they also have a lot of money and a lot of Republican friends. And they're going to be pissed. If Elon Musk, some rich fucking guy, just told them, hey, cut back, millions and billions of dollars to all these consultant companies, to these pharmaceutical companies. You don't think these guys are going to fight him on that? They're like, fuck you. Now you're going into our pockets.
Yeah.
We didn't care about their pockets. But mine? How dare you? But even the same thing with WIC and SNAP and stuff like that. I mean, not all these farmers are small farmers. Nope. There's going to be big farms that are going to be pissed. You just cut into their funds. You want to cut into food stamps? You want to cut into anything like that? Anything that these big companies are getting money off of? They're like, you don't fuck with it. They don't actually care about us, but they care about our meat. they want our money.
Meat and potatoes. You know what? If you really want to support farmers, if you want to make the agricultural business of America prosper, free school lunches. All of a sudden, the money for the school lunches coming from federal subsidies, the meat, the cheese, the potatoes, the fries, the lettuce, everything is going to be coming from American farms. That is how you support the industry of our food making. That's how you feed our people. That would boost the economic output and the economic GDP of our entire nation easily.
100%. And they could also, they could make a standard hire for cooks and lunch ladies and whoever it may be within schooling higher and set the standard a little higher, but also make the pay higher. They would universally raise the pay of cooks everywhere.
Yeah.
Make these good paying jobs, make them professional. Say, hey, we need healthy meals for these children every day. Okay.
I guarantee you there'd be chefs who'd be like, yeah, I don't mind working for my local school district. That sounds like an honor.
I'd love to do it. Yeah, let's do this thing. Yeah,
and you're not just ripping open a Cisco bag and being like, there you go, children. You're making food. You're making meals. You're getting the ingredients and you're crafting stuff together. You're not just
Doesn't that sound wonderful? Like some fantasy world?
Yeah, you're right. It's a utopia. Never mind. It'll never happen.
That we could totally fucking have. It wouldn't even take much, honestly.
No. I mean, hell, pastas and beef and pork, that would sustain the majority of America easily. Mm-hmm. No question. I mean, a ton of school children have food insecurity at home. So the majority of the food and calories that they get in their developmental age is at school. And then if you're at the same time saying, actually, one of the worst things I think happens is when you have like a school lunch system for like pay, and then you're like, actually the free lunch kids, they get peanut butter and jelly and a bag. And then it ostracizes them from everybody else.
Yeah, it's such a stupid fucking system.
It makes no sense.
Makes absolutely no sense. It's ridiculous. You're immediately setting a them versus me type of mentality already.
The poors versus the haves, yeah.
Yeah, it's insanity, and I don't know. It just seems like problem after problem after problem after problem, and
And they're
But I
all
will say,
preventable. They're all
yeah,
easily avoidable. They're all systems that we could go look at and go like, actually, what if we did it differently? What if we didn't do it that way?
yeah, absolutely. But I think the thing is, though, at certain times like this, you do need to look to your local leadership. Who's doing good things and who and I think your local leadership is doing things that you may never even know their name, but know they're in the middle of fighting for either for funding or for helping people, for giving out money, for making sure people are included. These things are happening. Like whoever put together the childcare stuff, it's to make sure more early childhood development is happening in Portland and the surrounding areas. It's like cool. Somebody did that because they wanted it done, not because there's a bunch of money in it. There's not a lot of money in it. Just someone said, "Hey, this is an important topic, something we should really work on. Let's get it done." And there's going to be a lot of people like that, and I think that'll be a lot of it. I think you'll see a lot more localized help. People very state specific, county specific people saying, "All right, well, what can I do here?" Speaking of which, I heard a story in Kaiser.
Oh yeah,
that there's now a MAGA Republican running for our what is it the mayor of Kaiser. They lost. Then they got put on a city councilship, and the city council is kind of all led by staunch Republicans and is trying to strip our good mayor of all their power.
Trying to backdoor the mayorship. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
I'm not
everywhere.
surprised by that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Republicans are so good at taking action, directed action. I don't know what it is about the liberal mindset that they don't want to cause action to happen.
It's because, my theory at least, is because we're okay with people being happy. We're okay. We're okay with everyone being okay. They're not happy unless you're unhappy. And they're like, how do I make you unhappy? How do I make you feel the way I feel? They're okay. Like, so I'm okay. Like, I'm fine if you're a Christian over there, right? You want to be a crazy Christian, as long as you're not hurting people and sacrificing people, be a Christian. They're not fine that I'm not a Christian. They're like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I think that's the big difference. You're gonna be my way by force. It's just ridiculous.
That seems unfortunately accurate. Yeah, I didn't like such a concise answer to that, but I can't think of any other way for that to actually be true. Because unfortunately, when you're like, yeah, I'm okay if everyone is different than me, you're not going to be motivated to enforce that, to enforce the separation or the capability for difference. Whereas if you're like, I need everyone to be the same as me, otherwise either I'll be punished or they'll be punished, whatever your viewpoint is, all of a sudden you're going to get off your ass and you're going to start walking around being like, actually, I would like power. I would like a voice to be change.
Yeah. And now they're forcing it. Yeah.
And then when you are effective as one of us, the people who like people being, comfortable and happy with each other, the only time where we really stand up and do something is when we're no longer comfortable and happy, is when we're no longer seeing the acceptance and community happen anymore. That's when we start acting, and that's too late.
It's because they're hurting my neighbors, right? Like, I don't mind, I don't like MAGA Republicans, so I just don't hang out with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably I have friends that do drag and stuff like that, but you probably never catch me at a drag show. But I'll be damned if someone's going to ban them from doing their shows and having their fun, And you're right. We're not going to take action until you start hurting my friends and my neighbors. And I think part of it, too, with the Democrats is why people, say some of them are just kind of showy Democrats. It's because not until you absolutely hurt me. And I think even me and you are probably guilty of this. Is like, it's not my community yet, but I think we're all feeling this sympathy, right? So these very rich, Democrats are like, oh man, we support black businesses. And then they're like, no DEI hires. We're like,
darn. Oh no. Shucks. Well, you heard them, guys. No DEI hires.
Yeah, we'll wait until something.
We'll get you on the next one.
Yep, and like I said, you see a lot of the white women, the richer white women in the Democratic Party. They didn't care until they came after their birthrights, and then they're like, okay, well now it affects me. Now let's get into this thing,
Oh, did you see that voting act that was proposed where you need a form of ID, like when you vote, the name on the voting system has to be the same as your birth certificate. And basically what that would do would be stripping any married woman who changed their name, or anybody who's ever changed their name, from being able to vote. I don't think that one went through. I think that one is canceled. But regardless, it's starting. It's starting already. Yeah.
Like, and what benefit does that have? That's, I think, the main question people should be asking when these things happen is, what's the benefit? Because like, if I come with a plan at work, right? Whenever I do something, they want to know why, what's the benefit, and what's my how am I going to get the resources to do it, and what resources it's going to take, and then once I have those figured out, then what is it? You know what I mean? What are we going to do? What's the action plan? They're not asking the benefit, right? First, when someone does something like that, I want to know what's the benefit. Like, hey, we're going to tariff Canada. What's our benefit? What are we gaining? If the answer is fucking nothing, then no.
If you ask Trump, the benefit is that we're no longer subsidizing Canada. We're no longer spending millions of dollars for nothing. Basically, it's a rebalancing of the scales is how he sees it. Because he sees that if somebody's tariffing us, that we're losing. We're losing a trade war because he sees it like a business, not like a nation. That's the thought process. I know you and I don't have the same thought process, but that's his thought process, is that technically we give them more money than they give us, so we're losing. That's it. That's the entirety of the idea.
It's, during his little spat with Zelensky, it totally, the lines that him and Vance were saying, like what Vance said, totally tells you all of their personality. When he said, "Have you even thanked us once?"
Yep.
That tells you all you need to know about something. Because if you were in an emergency situation and you were like, "Hey, I got something happened. I need your help. Will you drive over here?" And it's 2 a.m. and I go over there. I'm not waiting for your thanks. I'm like, "Hey, this is an emergency. You're my friend. You need my help.
Yeah,
I can do this." If a stranger was bleeding out in the streets and I needed to put pressure on a wound until ambulance got there, I don't need them to thank me.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I'm a fucking human being. It's because we're all, I think, and you would do the same. You know what I mean? Everybody's like that. People, and these guys are like, "Did you even thank us?" It's like, there's a war. His people are dying. How about we deal with that first before you stroke your fucking ego?
100%. I don't think Zelensky stroking Trump and Vance's ego was the most important thing in that moment. You know what I do think the most important thing in that moment was, though? That there was Russia state media in the White House live streaming the whole thing straight to the Kremlin. And you know what's crazy? The White House said, "Oh no, he wasn't supposed to be there," as the cover-up. Because either he was supposed to be there and the crash out was, planned, and that was the whole plan along to give Russia more bullets to shoot at Ukraine. Or 2, they let a Russian media set up in the White House on accident. And that is way fucking worse, in my opinion. That whole process of I would rather be ignorant than malicious. I would rather you be malicious at that moment. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, at least we're still in control. You're doing bad at it, but at least we're in control. But yeah.
If you say, "Oh no, the Russians got in the White House, got in the Oval Office," how'd that happen? That is un-American. That's bad.
100% un-American. I mean, I don't know. These guys, they don't feel American anymore, though, right? They're not fighting for our values. They're not, like I said, most people, again, we don't want war. We want to hate. Like, it's okay for us to hate each other, right? It's okay. I'm fine with rural parts of Oregon making fun of Portland, and I'm fine with Portland making fun of them. That's fine. And they can even hate each other too, in a sense. What I'm not fine with is us actually doing stuff to hurt each other, because we know we need rural Oregon to provide food. They grow crops. We know that. We're not stupid. It's just like everybody downstream. Every job is important. If all the janitors decided they didn't want a janitor anymore, everything would be fucking disgusting, right? It's the same thing with anything. When the garbage men stop doing, if the truck driver stopped delivering, if the doctors stop operating, the lawyers stop being lawyers, things would start falling apart. We're a community. What's happening though is that people are intentionally hurting each other now, instead of just being like, "I hate you." I can hate you, but also respect you, right? We can still get things done, and I don't need to hurt you.
Absolutely. No, I mean, they have the mentality that if you're not on their team, you're an active enemy. that you're an actual parasite class is what they use, an animal, a savage, a dehumanizing language, basically, to just maintain the superiority of their own in-group, which is a lot of what I see from the right side. But the left side also has the tendency to call people morons, idiots, intellectual, call people religious fanatics, that type of stuff. And that was all fine for years and years. And now we have people in charge who are making decrees and laws. And we're not just one. It's not just Trump. That's the thing. It's not J.D. Vance. It's a shit ton of states with a shit ton of congressmen and senators and the judicial branch. And they all are lockstep with the same ideology, which is to cause the in-group to have power and to harm the out-group. And that's what's wrong.
And that's the other part of it too, is right now is like, there are people laughing about, one of our states going bankrupt. Yeah, like to me, it's like I get it.
I saw a TikTok where someone's like, "Ha ha, farmers, you voted for this." I'm like, no, that's not how you get them on your side.
That's part of it. Part of it is not two steps, right? Part of it is not, that's not how you get them on their side. But also, if you even look past that, right? We're looking so far down the line into how do we make money? How is this my enemy? How is this that we're forgetting human decency? First thought is like, maybe these guys didn't know. Maybe they did know they would hurt somebody. Maybe they didn't. Maybe whatever. They voted it happened. We have Trump as president right now. These people though are losing their farm. That if you've ever been truly poor and not known how you're gonna make rent, how you're gonna buy food, it's this your heart. It feels like there's a pain here. You're like, it's this stress that builds. These guys are all feeling that. Mm-hmm. And people are going to go hungry. People are going to hurt. Children that didn't vote are going to start suffering. Laughing at them. It's this, what happened to our humanity? I get it. They voted and maybe they should learn. It's a touch the stove moment. Maybe they'll learn and maybe during the midterms we'll vote out a lot of these Republicans or vote in politicians that can help, whether they be Republican or Democrat. But at the time being, it's like, why are we laughing? This hurts everyone. Hurts people that don't deserve it. Even people that do maybe deserve it. Why do we want to cause pain? This is more of a time to be united than ever. And I get it, the frustration of people that really wanted Kamala Harris and wanted to get away from Trump, because he's causing pain to me too, But I don't know. The humanity aspect, we're losing it, and it's frustrating because it's.
It's because we're polarized. We don't see the other side. We don't see the people who are operating against our current interest as people. We see them as MAGA. We see them as the Red Hats. We see them as an other group. We don't see them as our brothers and our sisters. We don't see them as our neighbors. We don't see them as Americans. We don't see them as what they are, which are citizens of America who are tired of a corrupt system, who weren't working for them. And so regardless of what type of situation they were in, they voted for a leader who said, I'm going to give you change and I'm going to give you prosperity. I don't think we're going to see prosperity, and I guarantee we're going to see change.
Yeah, and it's I can feel it affecting me, like all of us sometimes. And I get it, because even me, I'll sometimes be like, man, these guys are fucking idiots, or I'll say things I'm like, dude, why did I say that? I'm not. Mm-hmm. These people they're still people, and in a sense,
violence is easy to fall back on.
It is, and calling people stupid is like, in some sense, they are stupid. We're all stupid, right? I'm stupid in certain things. I'm not good at things. Yeah. So we're all stupid in certain things, and these guys, their lack of understanding for what is actually happening is partially their fault, but also partially not their fault. They're in this, echo chamber of people that tell them, people like me are their enemy, their enemy, and their enemy, and their enemy. And when the fact is that they're not. I mean, and they're unable to look at things like, hey, your state is so broke because because you're talking about these stupid liberal cities, when the super liberal cities pay all your bills. California, New York pay, give you a bunch of money, so you can be a place still. It's insanity, and these guys, they don't understand that basics of it, and they still stupid liberal, states and cities. It's like, I don't know what to say to them to get them to that point. They still, and I get it, they want their home to be the best. The South is the best, Georgia is the best, Louisiana is the best. It's like, you're not, financially, you're not. But I'm sure you have a good point.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff we could go down the list, but nonetheless.
I'm sure there are good things about your place, though. Sure, it's down home, whatever. You get to be a little racist, but whatever it is you like about your place. But being able to acknowledge that there are also good things happening in these major cities, and a lot of these laws that you think are being the typical purple-haired liberals shouting about everything and wanting their safe spaces is like, yeah, we're creating safe spaces for you. They create programs that also help you. We fund you. These people are fighting for you. The changes are happening. If it were up to people like that, we'd still have fucking segregated bathrooms and
Yes. No, we would. I mean, that's, I think, one of the main issues with the whole transgender bathrooms and all that stuff and the unisex bathrooms is that they still have the mentality of separation of individuals where they want people to be separated based on class or capability. They want this is the group who gets this and this is the group who gets that. The encapsulation of whatever social process that is. And that's the thing that I think we've talked about before. Sorry, I got a beard hair in my tongue. That's the thing we've talked about before. The main difference I see between liberal ideology and conservative ideology is that liberals love to enhance expression, whereas conservatives love to enhance conformity. And those two ideologies are very antithesis of each other. And that's why you have drag queens reading storybooks to children, which... whatever, it happened. And then the conservatives look at that and go, that is innately sexual because they can only see somebody in drag as a sexual proclivity. Whatever, that's a hard word. So they only see that as some type of sex act and children, immediate bad. Which, yes, that thought process is bad. But if you just have somebody in a dress reading Winnie the Pooh to children, I'm not opposed to that. It doesn't register in my brain as a evil act, which it does for them.
And that's, I think, a big portion of it is these people can't separate certain things, right? It's like, right, like, so a mother breastfeeding in public, that's not sexual.
That's titty. Get it out of here.
Yeah. Exactly. A woman wearing, looser fitting clothing on a hot day.
Horrible.
That doesn't, yeah. It's like, no, she's wearing things because it's fucking hot. That mother, her baby is hungry, and that's how she can feed it. It's like, you don't have the fact that you see it as sexual is kind of a you problem. Yeah,
Jesus said, if your eyes cause you to lust, pluck them out. Why don't you follow what Jesus says? Yeah.
Let's start plucking. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's, and you're right. Like the people cross-dressing, reading stories, it's like, no, that's not. But the thing is too, is like, teaching kids inclusivity, but also having the ability to show kids that may have those feelings that they're not freaks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
But that's the thing. They want them to know that they are freaks. They want them to know that they are wrong and that they should conform to the bubble, regardless of what your self-identity is. Because to be the group is more important to be the individual.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And which is so boring, such a boring life to live. Like, I've partied with country folks. I've partied with punk rockers. I've partied with Mexicans. I've had lots of parties with different people, and all of them are the same way. They get drunk and want to be stupid and sing and dance in their own possible way, and it's all different, but it's all the same. And it's like, why would you want everyone to be like you? Why you want all the art to be your art? You want all the music to be your music? It's like, why? that's stupid. They know it's stupid. It's boring. It's why you see a lot of conservative men, wanting to sleep with the punk rocker chicks and stuff. Yep. It's like, what are their values? You don't want their values, but you think they're hot because they're different.
Yep. Have you seen that trend on TikTok where conservative women are trying the liberal makeup trend, or like liberal women are trying the conservative makeup trend? Basically, it's like these conservative women who all have like the porn star makeup, the heavy blush and the lipstick. You know what I'm talking about. And then they start doing all the blending and the pinks and the purples and the blues or whatever. And they're looking at themselves and they're like, oh, wow, this looks really good. Because it's more of an expression of themselves. And it's not just the classic, I'm a beige face with some orange and here's some red lipstick. It's them breaching the cultural gap and realizing that there is other things that are also good out there.
100%. I mean, if people aren't willing to try things, I mean, how would we ever get, like, I mean, we can go back to, like, classic racism and slavery. If we weren't, like, during slavery, if people weren't willing to think, to put out the idea that, hey, maybe we shouldn't own slaves, we would still have slavery. If you know what I mean? They think they're radical ideas and they're stupid ideas, but it's like, no, that's how we get change. That's how we get different things. That's how we get different music. People love country. Country is like a send off of, like, the blues. It's of these old hymns and things like that. It's like that's inherently black music that started that. It's like you hate it, but you love it. And without that ability, people's ability to express themselves, you wouldn't have that. Our government systems, the U.S. government, they love a lot that's built off the Iroquois Nation. It's like a lot of these systems, you're like, we can't get rid of our constitution. It's like none of that shit is built off of other people, and it's great. We have so many ideas.
So many people think that what is has always been, right? to look around at everything that you're living in your life, and the way the world is clearly how it's always been and how it should be from now on. And that is just never true. It is just never a true statement. Like the Constitution based on the Iroquois, how we have the judicial system, the legislative system, and the executive branch. Basically our three branches of government. That's all based on the Native American way of governance. And then a little bit of European influence in there as well. Which is how we have, like, the parliament, which was our legislative system. 90% of Americans do not know that. I guarantee you, get 100 random people, maybe 10 would know that. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. And that's a failing on the education system. Really, that really is. I think most of our education system has been built for propaganda, and it's failed us.
100%. And I think you're right. If in schools, if they really highlighted those things that came from different cultures and from peoples about where they actually came from, I think that'd make things better for everybody. They'd be like, oh, because I think if a racist person that is like, hey, do you know country came from the black community? That was the basis of it. Because right now, like you see right now, like people were pissed that Beyonce and what's his name, Shabuzi were winning, like, country awards. Like, black people in country, the racists, like, what are you talking about, man? First of all, either way, even if it was, quote, white music, like...
Also, what the fuck?
Yeah. First of all, racism, fuck. But second of all, it's like, it's a full circle thing. It's coming from traditional black music. It's like, how about you just fucking be cool and realize that we all can do things, right? You don't be a dickhead about it.
Oh, if we're talking about Native American and the things that have come before, I guess America is now going to have an official national language as English, which I think is garbage. And the only thing I can think of, as you would say, what's the benefit of that, is so that you don't have to have translators in all government buildings, where you don't have to provide language services. Because if English is the national language, then any and all legislation, rules, regulations can just be printed in English. And then if you can't read it, learn the language.
I see that as just isolating ourselves even more, though. Why would we want that?
I don't know, man.
No benefit.
And to be honest, if we did have a national language, I would rather it be ASL, American Sign Language. I would much rather force all of our legislation and judicial branch to learn how to sign, because that's the only language that was developed in America from the Plains natives with hand speak and a little bit of the French, but whatever. Yeah, that was developed in America. That is the most American language we have. And then we've shipped it off to pretty much every other language to then develop their own sign language. But sign language started in America.
I mean, that'd be cool if everybody had to learn sign language.
I'd be so down. The amount of communication you could get from farther distances. You can't really shout too much with ASL. And a lot of sign language is built on specificity. So you have to be more specific with your language because it's not as adaptive as like a vocal language. I think it'd be good for people. Plus, it locates hand-eye coordination with your language cortex, which is better for your mental processing anyways. Also,
Okay.
it would make it so that all people would be at the same ground floor of learning a language versus coming in from Venezuela or Mexico and not knowing English and being like, all right, you got to learn English right now. Because who the fuck can do that? English is such a hard language.
English is.
But if it's like ASL, I mean, everybody in America doesn't know ASL. We all have to learn.
Common sense stuff. Like, I don't know if it's common sense, I guess, but more like that. Like, that stuff, I don't. It's just. There's so many people that are so backwards on things. You know, like, don't care. Like, I think we're going too much on vibes right now, right? Like, so many people are so uneducated in politics. People are going off vibes.
Yeah.
You know, like Elon Musk. So many people are so entrenched with him already. They're entrenched with him. You know, they're like, oh man, this guy's smart. And you know, I told you, I was in an argument with some people. One of my old friends. He's a staunch Republican, big Trump guy. And I'm like, dude, and he's like, well, he's gonna find all this extra fluff and take all this money out that we're overspending. And I'm like, why do you trust him? No answer. Asked him again. Someone else was arguing with me, and I asked them the same thing. Well, why are we trusting this fucking billionaire? That's not American. Why are we trusting him? Why him? Why is he the answer to all of our problems and to cutting all the fluff?
Here's something you might not have known about Elon Musk. So his dad is from Canada, right? He was part of a technocrat political ideology. Basically, they were talking about using computers and artificial intelligence to secure an aristocrat form of governance in the world, basically. So this was back before Elon Musk was born. Then they moved to South Africa due to the apartheid and how much they enjoyed that type of government system. Oh, his dad was also pro-Nazi, by the way. So they went to the apartheid system, got the Emerald Mine, gained all their money. And then I think he kept the technocrat system as a foundation block for Elon Musk. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Elon Musk was so driven to do like PayPal and buy Twitter and all that stuff. The technological dominance to hold that amount of power within such a isolated form is unmatched in human history. And now he's using Doge to go financially strip most of our government agencies. And I will not be surprised when he starts talking about using AI deep learning and AI models to reform our legislative systems so that we can have a non-biased, non-partisan rule over whatever our systems end up being. And I think that's where the technocrat comes in, where you have the technological elite aristocrat system basically taking over the world as we know it. It sounds conspiracy theory. I know it sounds conspiracy theory the moment you say take over the world. But holy shit, the only thing that stops an empire is communication. That's one of the main reasons why Rome fell, is because they didn't have the capability to communicate throughout the entire empire when they needed to.
I mean, these guys are taking over the world, though, right? They are.
Yeah, they are.
They're kind of doing their thing. You know, they're in our politics. They influence our politicians. You know,
they bought Trump his presidency this time.
They bought Trump his presidency, and we're starting to lose trust in our government because of these guys. You know, now if you can just buy a presidency, is $260 million at the price? Pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's not bad. Saudi Arabia could do that, no problem.
Yeah.
Russia could probably do that. They just have to scrape a couple of their oligarchs together, but no problem.
Yeah, we're talking about Israel giving a bunch of money to a super PAC to give them weapons. It's cheap. It's super cheap to be.
The return on investment is great every time.
Yeah, and at a certain point, you know, this unfettered, you can give however much money you want to a politician. It's got to stop.
That was Obama, by the way. One of the biggest things that I was mad about was that he allowed that to happen. He allowed money to be free speech.
Because he's trash, just like the rest of these politicians. Again, they don't care about us. Like I think that's the other part too with these staunch Trump Republicans, is they see his guy as a hero, and then they go, "What about Obama? What about Biden?" I'm like, yeah, what about him? Fuck him.
Yeah, and they lose their mind. They can't conceptualize that I hated them as well. That I was also against them.
You think I voted for them because I like them? I voted them because you had a psychopath on your side. I hate them too. I want someone better. I'll tell you that much. And people want to go be the third person and be like, what about Jill Stein? Jill Stein's a fucking grifter. She can go, where's Jill Stein now? Speak out, Jill. Where are you
I wanted Bernie. I was loving Bernie. He
Bernie,
was cool.
I would have liked.
I liked Ron Paul at the beginning, but then he turned out to be absolutely crazy. And then I changed my fucking mind. That's the crazy part.
You can do that too. I know you were kind of an RFK guy too, right?
I was an RFK guy. I liked him. Don't get me wrong. I still like RFK, what he says. I dislike the actions he wants to take, though. Because getting toxins out of our food, good. Making sure that we have scientific basis on our vaccines, good. Making sure that the heavy dyes and metals and all that stuff is out of child formula and all that stuff, good. The way he's going about it, of gutting scientific research, of putting massive, what's he doing? What was the thing he was doing for the heavy metals? I can't remember it off the top of my head, but he was doing something that I didn't like. So like the words he says and the actions he wants to take, I'm agreeing with. The way he's going about it and the way that I think it's going to be affecting people seems to be very counter to what was promised.
Well, because he wants scientific backing, but only scientific backing that backs him.
That's fair.
And that's not
how science works.
No. You go with the facts and then lean into that. And the fact that we're leaning against subject matter experts on anything is crazy to me. If you want to produce a movie,
it's crazy that we're going against subject matter experts without a better expert coming in or a better scientific version saying, actually, that was wrong. This is the right one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Letting lawyers and judges make decisions on that EPA should be making on the science of
Chevron doctrine. Yeah.
Chevron doctrine. Yes. Is insanity. Now, letting them make decisions on the law, absolutely. That's their job. Interpret the law. Making decisions on the scientific stuff, they present the scientific data to you and tell you this is what this means. That we're not. This is not for debate. This is what this shit means, and then you make the decision on the law on it. Sure, but you need to make the decision above the fucking scientist is insanity. You don't know, and people do that all the time. They're like, oh, well, they could be lying. Yeah, lots of people could be lying. Why do you start your car in the morning, though, and don't die? You trusted somebody. They could be lying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lots of things. The milk you drink, the food you eat, you didn't personally fucking grow those potatoes. You don't know somebody put cyanide in those, but you're trusting somebody down the line that they're not trying to kill you.
Yeah, you're trusting that the FDA has ensured that your lettuce isn't going to be contaminated with E. coli. Which, I mean... And when it is contaminated with E. coli, guess what? There's a fucking recall, and it's a big deal. Without the FDA, there's no recall, and you just get E. coli.
Yep, and I think that's a thing that sensationalized news has done is we believe everything's bad now. We believe government bad, everything bad, this bad, that bad. We believe everything's overspending. And it's like the fact of the matter is we're actually pretty good at spending. We're pretty good at catching things. We're pretty good at standards and practices. America's really good at a lot of stuff. Our government's actually run pretty fucking efficiently. Is there corruption? Sure. But is it that bad?
You put 3 people in a room, somebody's going to get a little corrupt. It happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's what quid pro quo is.
And then it's our responsibility to vote them out. I don't understand why we voted in billionaires, though, that do not care about us. It still boggles my mind. These guys have hated us forever.
Because what if I'm a billionaire one day? Yeah. I won't be, but what if? What if, Tony?
What
if I'm the billionaire now?
Hey, what if, yeah,
I know we have 10 in the nation of 200 plus million, 250 million people, but what if I'm that one?
Yeah, how about fucking no? How about you just act as if you're not gonna? Let's pretend you're not gonna be for just a second.
But now I feel bad. Now I'm mad. Yeah. Get you out of the country.
Everybody wants to be exceptional. It's like, dude, being okay is also okay. Like, yeah. It's fucking like, dude, I love some of my most relaxed times just sitting here by myself playing video games. I'm like, nothing to do right now. God, this is nice. I'm gonna order pizza and just chill the fuck out.
Yeah, commerce, spend that money.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
I mean, that's the American dream. To be able to have a safe place to be able to have food, and to be able to spend your time on leisure activities. That's the American dream.
Yeah, I don't even want that much shit. I don't need a yacht. Like, sure, would it be cool? Sure, but I don't. If you gave me the choice of, hey, you can starve these 1,000 people, or actually, you wouldn't have to 10 people. You'd be like, hey, you can starve these 10 people. You can starve this one person, but you get a yacht. I'd say, let's just feed them. I think
I'd give them a sandwich.
I think most people would do that. I'd be like, I don't really need the yacht. But there are a few psychopaths who are like, well, how big of a yacht are we talking? It's like, whoa! How about we do? What the fuck, man?
2,000-foot yacht. Oh, sign me up. Starve those babies.
Those people. And that's the difference. It's like, do you need that stuff? And for other, like, is it the suffering or is it the stuff, or is it both? What is it that gets you up in the morning? Because most people, and I don't think this is not a very like a personal thing. I think everybody wants this thing. You know what I mean? Everybody in a vacuum would help somebody if they fell.
No.
I think not everybody. I think most people. People, if somebody tripped, you're like, hey, can I help you up?
Well, because that's the thing. That's the human condition, is because you have to say no to, if you're in a room alone and somebody falls, everyone will go pick them up. That's just not true. There are tons of people who would look at the person who fell and be like, get up, idiot.
Yeah.
Or somebody would fall and they'd push him down again just to have fun, just to enjoy the sensation of causing pain.
And that honestly was a realization as an adult that, because I have this, for the longest time I had this idea in my head that everybody was good inherently.
Majority,
sure.
Right.
And you're right, but there is a time you have to come to a realization that some people are just bad. I had a friend, right, that I'm no longer friends with. They told me when they were drunk one time, they're like, I love to stir the pot. I love the drama. And we're both 30, mind you. Like, we're in our 30s. And this person has children. And because we play sports together, we hang out with similar friends, but always constantly, maybe shit talking this person, there's always a fight here, that. And I realized that moment, I'm like, it's you. You're causing drama. You're a horrible human being. Well, I think it's fun to kind of, I'm like, why is that fun to hurt people's feelings?
To sow strife.
Yeah. It's like, we were all having a good time. We were a community of people. We're all buying each other birthday gifts. We're hanging out. And you're being just a dick. And you think that's fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, so all you get out of it is
a tee-hee.
Yeah. And so that person I had to stop being friends with, obviously.
Good.
But to realize there are people out there like that are like, it's just fun to kind of make this person feel bad, or like, what?
And take that, right? Take that. That's an isolated case. He is causing this type of strife and diversion on a localized scale. Now give him $10 billion.
Like to stir the pot.
Oh, I just like to cause conflict and wherever I'm at, or I like to make heads of state mad at each other. Oh, I just find it so funny when various farming groups go to war. Tee-hee.
Yeah.
That's the same exact person, but on a higher scale.
Yeah, these psychopaths can get power, and it's like, what the fuck? Why? And the why is because they don't mind if they. And this person literally ended a couple friendships with people that ended up fighting each other, literally because of that. What they do, say, oh, this person was saying this about you. Oh, well, I don't think this person likes me. It's like, what? You're an adult. Stop.
I get doing that when you're like 13 to 17. Sure, tee-hee, I caused a problem. I got some type of reaction. There's attention now. You're 30. You're 35. Yeah. You have children. Grow up. Just be a person.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see people like that. People that are just, it's like, you keep thinking, like, now that I'm getting, older into my 30s, is like, I don't think I have any more, like, faith that I'm like, you're not going to, like, person, because I have other people like that are also just kind of dickheads, whatever. Same as I'm like, you're not going to change. That sucks. Maybe you will, but but I don't have the time for it anymore.
Personality dictates ideology, right? So before you're a fascist, you're an asshole, right? Before you're okay with authoritarianism, you want to be in control of others, right? Like, as a schoolyard, you're gonna pick on people, take their toys before you want to be like a repo man. Like your personality dictates what type of ideology you go into, and it's not vice versa.
It's true, and most of these guys though they're absolute cowards, right? You know, I remember. I mean, this isn't me being tough guy stuff, but I know when I used to lift a lot of weights and stuff like that. You know, I was a pretty fucking strong person in like my mid-20s and stuff like that. And you would see people that would, you know, like try to, like, you remember in college. Well, I can't remember his name right now, but who try to bully some of our other friends. You know, just be absolute shitheads to who they perceived as weaker people, and then, you know, other people had to speak up for them. And you're like, you know, and then you got to ask the question, like, why aren't you trying to? Why are you bullying them? Why not me? Why not this other person? You know what I mean? Why not other people that can stand up for themselves? It's because you're a fucking coward. You know,
yeah, you're a coward. It's the worst.
And those people just need essentially someone to stand up to them. I can see stuff on your mirror back there.
Oh yeah, I'm moving stuff around. On my live now thing. I don't have a base for it, but I was just moving stuff. Sorry, I got distracted for a second.
That's okay. I think this might be getting ready a good time to end this anyways. I know you got some stuff to do at 4.
Yeah, I was gonna stream another game at 4. Me and my friend Josh are gonna go get dinner, and then I'm probably gonna come back and eat some foods. But no, I think this has been a good talk. Once again, we've mostly complained. It really does all boil down to just tax the fucking rich. It's called well-up economics. Let's just do that. I think it would be the solution to at least 80% of America's problems. Hell, maybe 55%, but it's better than what we have now.
Did you see the Dave Ramsey interview?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if it was an interview. Basically, someone asked him a question like, well, if you, because you know who Dave Ramsey is, right?
Yeah, the money guy.
Yeah, the money guy. Hate him.
Just don't have a credit card and spend within your means. Oh, nothing is within your means? I guess just die poor.
Yeah, he was joking about, you know, he got asked questions like, well, isn't buying a bunch of houses, you know, isn't that part of the problem? You know, isn't that, wouldn't you see that is too much wealth? And he's like, no, he's like, well, I don't even know what, 25, 30 houses plus my business properties. He's like, and no, it's not. And then the lady asked him, she's like, well, isn't that part of like what makes housing so expensive? He's like, that's just wrong. And you're like, what? That's absolutely correct.
That's just wrong. He's like, I actually don't want to talk about that because that is correct.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's rich people buying more than they need. That's absolutely what's causing the housing part. Like, it's not the whole thing, but it's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, well, you're talking about, you know, having too many houses. Like, well, he goes, what I'm doing is I'm managing. I know what I'm doing. I'm managing God's wealth, right? And so
religious aspect. You can't logic your way through religion.
He knew he was trapped. He said something about this. They were like, hey, you own a bunch of houses. He's like, well, God. And it's like, that's my out card. It's fucking get out of jail free, baby. It's like, you're going to hell. If there's a hell, you're headed there.
Trump saying that God saved him from assassination and that he was destined to make America great again. The religious aspect is above and beyond what you can logic your way through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there is no greater noble lie than that what you do on the planet Earth is ordained by something above you.
It's silly. It's absolutely silly. These guys, and they people eat it up because they don't want to face reality that the world is chaotic, and it gives them some semblance of control. And this guy, like I said, it's a grifter. Uses it as a get out of jail free card. Why do you have all these hope? Well, it's God's will. Why did you stab that man? Well, kind of God, you know, God.
God.
Yeah,
God.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about it that way. I didn't think. Why did you rob that old lady, dude? God knew that I needed her fucking purse. It's so stupid. It's such a. I hate Dave Ramsey.
One of the things, kind of on the same theme you're going on right now. There was an interview of somebody talking to MAGA supporters being like, oh, the immigration policy. And somebody's like, well, Jesus was a Middle Easterner socialist. Would you accept him into our country? And the lady was like, well, he followed the proper paperwork. And the guy was like, you would stop Jesus from coming to America if he didn't do the paperwork. And she's like, yes. It's like, you don't even see the cognitive dissonance you're having right now. You don't even see like, oh, God's ordained son, the peacemaker on earth. You'd be like, get out of this country and come back in through immigration processing. That might take 8 to 10 years.
What a bad Christian.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Horrible.
don't worry, they have a Trump-signed Bible, so they're saved.
I hate. Oh God, I hate.
I hate.
I still have that. I have that shirt somewhere. I have a I hate and an I love shirt,
Amazing.
depending on my day. I hate.
Unfortunately, I feel like the I hate is more common.
It's a lot of I hate days. I'm gonna be honest. It's a little. The I hate shirt is definitely more faded than the I love.
It's been out in the sun longer.
A lot more wash was needed. It's been through it. I probably should get a couple extra, honestly.
Back up, I hate you. Have one I love. You're like, one day I'll get it. One day I'll be able to wear this.
Yeah, the I love is pretty fucking pristine.
Sad.
Well, do you want to stop? I do want to talk to you about some stuff, probably off of your last stuff, and then we can stop there for a second, and then I'll let you go.
Sure thing. I'll be right back in then.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out, having a good time. I have really enjoyed it. I think we have done actually wonderful. So thank you so much for enjoying our little talk. If you liked it, please like it. Make sure you always live your life with some peace, some balance, and some love in your everyday. And the most important thing, the least important thing, and the last thing to say of any good stream is, in fact, end stream. Until next time, my friends. Until next time. End stream.